Hello, hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to Wanderer's Haven. My name is Annika, also known as Anine Wanders, and I am joined by these wonderful cast members here to tell you a tale of wonderment in the land of Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass. That is a content section that was just released on Kickstarter and successfully funded, and we are super excited for them. They also have shared some wonderful playtest content that we are going to be showcasing for you all tonight. And so that we can get into the action, I would like to just jump right into character and player introductions. So I'm going to start with the marvelously magical Deb.
Hello, I am the aforementioned Deb. I like to hang out here at Wanderer's Haven and so excited to play in this new world and explore it. I'm playing a sorcerer tonight named Sophie.
Wonderful indeed. And Sophie is an exciting character that is a gentle nod to somebody you all might be familiar with. And meanwhile, I have my friend Kay off to the bottom here. Sorry, I was so distracted thinking about where you were on my screen that I was like, nope, I'm not going to say your name for everybody. But Kay, go ahead and share a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Kay. You can find me at Caden Cosmos on most things, but most importantly, tonight I'm playing Inko. She is definitely a little bit of a wallflower child. She has a familiar friend who always keeps her company, and she is wandering into town to find out what's going on. I'm very excited to be here. So, thanks for having me.
Yes. Yeah, and we're so grateful to have you here with us. Thank you so much, Kay. Now we're going to travel over to our friend Andrew. Andrew, what have you got going on this evening?
Yeah, I am Andrew. I am a human person, and tonight I am playing a smaller human person named Mako.
Smaller indeed, but not to be short of a stout heart, I would say. Thank you so much, Andrew. Super excited to have you here. And now, if the person with the most wonderful set of antlers I have ever seen could introduce themselves, how are you doing this evening, Blair?
Hi, thank you. I'm Blair underscore Canadian Moose all over the place. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm going to be playing Buttercup, who is a little forest child of a druid. So, yeah, super excited.
Awesome, yeah. Well, thank you all again for joining me at my table. For those of you who don't know and are meeting me for the first time, I have been streaming for about almost 11 months now, but this will be my first time GMing a virtual table, and I'm very excited to be doing that. Before we dive into the story, I would also just like to highlight 1985 Games, which is the creator of the content we are going to be showcasing. You can find them at 1985 Games on most socials. They also have a Discord channel, and then Obojima specifically has their own Discord that you can join in, and they are constantly inviting folks to answer questions about ideas that they have, give feedback on art that they're creating. So if you really like what you see tonight and you want to explore it, you can certainly check out that content and explore that later. But without further ado, let us enter the magical world of Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass. All right. And so, on the tranquil island of Obojima, long before there were tales in the tall grass, a mystical forest known as the Starlit Sanctuary once captivated the hearts of those who heard its whispered tales. In this time, the grove was said to be one nexus of the island's unique magic, where creatures of myth roam freely and secrets of immense power lie hidden. Local inhabitants have plenty of time to enjoy Ma, or the space between things, as their lives rise and fall like the tidal movements of their island's shorelines. Our story begins just as a hint of sunset dances in the sky among clouds that gently waft on a warm summer breeze. As the wind travels through the small village of Eldoria, it causes chimes to sing and villagers to sigh with relief from a moderate heat that hangs lazily in the air. When the wind runs across the river, it gurgles happily in greeting as kids play in the shallows and their caretakers launder, trading tales of the day. Further upriver, the breeze twists about the lines of fisherfolk grumbling over their lot and losses. But finally, the wind catches 4 individuals as they reach the edges of the village and begin to walk cobblestone streets that echo with the sounds of the inhabitants. Drawn to this place by curiosity and eager to discover if rumor and truth are aligned here. For if the rumors are true, the village of Eldoria has encountered something that is almost never heard of in Obojima. Trouble? So as we turn our focus away from these fragments of life and towards our adventurers, we first see a petite gnome wearing an oversized sun hat as she travels down the road. Deb, what do our players see as they travel through the scene?
Yeah, Sophie is a gnome, so she's pretty short. She's about 14 years old. She has dark hair that has tints of gray to it already. She wears a blue dress most often, and as Annika said, she's got this big sun hat that is the most notable thing about her. Otherwise, she tries to keep out of the way of other people and remain kind of unnoticed by other people. She's a little bit shy.
Awesome. And so as this sort of petite figure wanders through the streets, she's drawn to this gathering of voices, and she can see that this crowd is starting to form. Where do you kind of wander as you approach and kind of see this crowd?
I stay toward the edges, but I want to see what's going on. I'm curious, and so I'll stay toward the edge, but I want to work my way forward so that I can actually see what's happening over the heads of, or get in front of people so that I don't, because I can't see over their heads. So eventually I'll work my way toward the front of the crowd.
Awesome. So as Sophie finds her place among the crowd, we then focus to the other side of town, where a young girl is being swamped by these loose-fitting garbs that follows the river, and as she follows the river and naturally draws people in as it wanders through this sleepy town. Kay, how does your character wander into the scene?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There seems to be a bit of a commotion. Inko is just very transient, passing through, but she needs to know where the trouble is, if there's going to be trouble. So she's going to be checking it out. She does try to, keep to the edges, keep out of sight, keep in the shadows as much as she can. And then the camera follows her as she climbs up, like scales a building with no problem. And then she's just on like a rooftop, kind of overlooking the scene, just scoping it out.
Awesome, I love that. So as the camera pans over the shoulder of this hooded figure, it then pivots and you see a small bridge over the river, and across the way you see a young but charming young man as he is moseying through these cobblestone streets. Andrew, what's your character up to?
Yeah, so Mako is absolutely moseying, maybe dragging his feet a little bit. Didn't sleep well the night before. Maybe yawning a bit. Then as he sees the crowd, that kind of piques his interest a little bit. He is a smaller guy, has a mop of brown hair and green eyes. And as he kind of makes his way towards the crowd, he thinks probably a better vantage point would be the most strategic. So he'd probably try to climb a building, but probably couldn't climb a building. So maybe he'll try to find a fence to sit on or some barrels to stand on, if there's anything around.
Mm-hmm. So there's certainly plenty of barrels, and you can see that as you approach, there are other people who have had this same idea and have created their own outposts and stakes as they gaze upon this older woman who seems to be speaking to everyone. But before we get to that, Blair, as a seagull flies over the crowd, it dives down towards a tree and it creels in surprise as you step from around the trunk. What is Buttercup up to?
Buttercup's probably looking like a mixture of like nervous but excited at the same time, and keeps like turning back to this orange kind of like shaggy haired like tomcat that has an eye patch that's a leaf with like a little leather that like goes around it. And she is small in a lot of like earth tone colors, has long brown hair, and has a headpiece kind of like this. Definitely doesn't blend in, but isn't really trying to be too loud. She's probably like whispering to this cat to like, come on, if you don't want to come, then go. Like just fighting with it to see if it'll follow or not. And once she sees the crowd, she's gonna kind of like lock in on that and walk towards. I don't think she would try to go to the front. I think she would do like a hover around the back, try not to touch anyone, but maybe lift up her cat to see if her cat can get a better vantage point. It's like, tell me what you see.
And so as you lift the cat for a moment is distracted by the crowd, but almost uncannily then turns to the forest off to your side, and it just doesn't seem to want to look away.
She's gonna like keep trying to like I picture it like if it's like cartoon style, like owl head, where just like any way she turns, the cat just can't. But she's gonna fight it and try to get this cat to look at whatever's happening in front, not at the forest. Dang it! But probably.
And as you do this for a few moments, it then grumpily turns its one eye and just.
Thank you.
All right. So, as our adventurers draw their attention to this gathering crowd, could you all make a perception check for me? You can go ahead and let me know what you rolled.
I got a 7, so my
Ooh.
vantage point did not help.
Yeah, you're
I
too
rolled-
distracted by the birds flying overhead.
I rolled an 8.
Andrew, you were saying? Oh, Deb, cool, got an 8.
I got a 13.
13, all right.
I got a 10.
Nice, all right. Going strong right away, I love it. Okay, so as you all are gathering towards this village and this crowd, you notice that they are gathered around a figure who is speaking with a voice of gnarled wood and wisdom, and eventually even our friends with the 7s and 8s notice that there's an elderly woman with textured skin that speaks to a life spent outside, worn, wrinkled, and tough. Her simple black and gray garb is thread-borne with patches of ink stains and other things that here and there. But after listening to her speak for a few minutes, let's see. Andrew, your character notices that there seems to be a lot of attention to whatever she's saying, because from your estimation of the size of the village and the number of people that are here, it must be about a quarter of the town. So whatever they're talking about has drawn enough attention for these people to gather. And so as you listen to her speak for a few minutes, you realize that her passion and wonderment that she speaks with could surely afford better clothing, so her humbled appearance is speaking to a lifestyle of adventure to some degree. And her blue eyes sparkle with youthful excitement as she proclaims, "Oh yes, as the light of last night's moon rose above the canopy, I saw them, and I know I am not alone in this." And she here pauses to catch the eyes of a few members in the crowd. "The light of the sanctuary, offering a challenge to any who'd seek it, and a warning to any who'd spot it. I'd give my one good hip for a chance to find it myself." And from the crowd, you hear someone call out, "Why, so we could listen to you complain about another sore spot?" Which earns some laughter before another voice adds, "But isn't she right? Someone should check to make sure the forest is safe." But at once, the crowd falls silent as they recognize that the elder woman is going to be speaking again. The forest already has everything it needs, but seeing as we've never encountered these lights before, I suppose a bit of help couldn't hurt, but would anyone take on this task? There's no telling what someone may find living among those roots and branches. And her eyes twinkle for a moment before they wink at the caretakers, who roll their eyes as she says, "Or what's hungry?" And you see a few of the children in the crowd shudder nervously as the woman eyes them playfully, and someone eventually responds, "Oh, come on, Elowen, you be nice." But here, Elowen's gaze travels among the crowd, and they come to rest at each adventurer as their humor is replaced by curiosity. "But what's this? Strangers come this day. Do you come to listen or to act?" And for all that you tried to hide yourself, you notice that she's talking to you, Sophie.
Who, me?
"Well, I know every person in this town, having lived here my whole life, and I don't know you."
Well, I'm Sophie. I just came to listen, but I am happy to help out if I can.
"Well, who you been listening to?
You today.
And what about what I've said interests you, darling?"
It's not necessarily about what you've said, but the way you said it, I think.
"Well, the way you say things is awful powerful. I do see the wisdom in what you say. I think that could be something you might want to say to that young friend above us." And you're not sure exactly how she knows this, but Kay, she realized she's turning to look up at you and Inko.
Inko blanches, and sheepishly kind of scales down the side of the building. She is now next to other folks. She is also pretty short in stature. We seem to be a very small group. She has a large staff that's bigger than her. You don't know how she quite got it up and brought it down with herself. And she turns around and yeah, she sheepishly stands. I just heard a commotion. People were all around. I just scoping it out. I'm sorry if I have overstayed my welcome.
"No, there's no welcome to overstay if it never runs out. But I do wonder why you didn't just come sit with us, and that the roof made you more comfortable or something."
I thought no one would see me. This has never happened before.
"Oh, you'll have a lifetime of firsts, darling, let me tell you that. Now, if I'm speaking of first, I do have to ask, what is this?" And Blair, you realize she's talking about your beautiful headdress with the flowers.
If the camera pans, Buttercup is still arguing with Jax the cat, until she realizes that someone's talking to her, and she's like, "Oh, it's just," and she'll kind of like lift it. It's not like it's a hat, but like a flower crown piece, just like bigger. She's like, I made it."
"Oh, a crafter now. I do appreciate that. Now, how do you keep them so fresh and vibrant?"
Well, I live in a forest, and so there's plenty of material there. This one I actually made earlier this week. I go through a few, but always
Oh,
keep
wow.
the same. Get a new set of horns every season.
That's mighty special that the forest gives you such gifts. Now, is that this forest?
Is it this one? It's a different
No,
forest?
it's not.
Okay,
It's a different
okay.
one, yeah.
Just checking. It's like, no, not this one. I'm from Templewood Grove, just a little
Oh.
distance away.
Yeah, I have always wanted to see that with my own eyes, but again, with my old hip. And at this, the crowd laughs as they're participating in this group conversation. Because they've heard this argument many times, as you can tell. She's already brought it up twice since you've met her. Well, now, what brought you here? That's a long way to travel.
You can tell that she's kind of like unsure whether or not to like say anything. A dream? And we'll kind of like brace for getting like she knows it sounds kind of funny, but it's just kind of like,
You know what? If you look at your cat might be telling you more about your dream. And you notice that she's looking down at Jax and has seen his odd behavior. And she gives you a little wink, but doesn't press the matter for now. And then turns towards Mako. And Mako, she eyes, now you got a problem with who you are?
No?
Then why do you wear it so strangely? You're a beautiful soul, but I can feel that you hesitate.
It's because I don't know who I am.
Oh, we don't all know who we are. And then at this, one of the other people in the crowd speaks up. Oh, Elwyn, you're being too harsh on the kid. We were all like that once. And a few other folks in the crowd chuckle at that. And Elwyn turns at them and then, oh, you go back to your home. I bet your sister misses you. And at this, a few more people laugh. Now, you all happen to come today?
Yeah.
Now, how many of you, and she turns to the crowd, have been out to the forest recently? And a few hands go up. And how many of you have seen the weird lights flying in the sky? And a few more hands continue to stay up. And how many of you, and I'm looking at you, Jeffrey, have tried to go find the lights and had to have me come rescue you? And it just sheepishly 3 hands stay up as 2 boys and a girl, about in their mid to late teens, just kind of slump in their chairs and try to hide from everyone who's suddenly looking at them. Now, my friends, I do appreciate eagerness and excitement, but there's a fine line between heroism and stupidity, and some of you are riding a little too close to it for my liking. Now, what I'm hoping we can come to is some kind of agreement where all of you who best be staying home doing your chores can get that work done, while perhaps our new friends can help us in this matter. Now I'm looking at you, Joan. I know you always got something to say. What you gotta say about this one? And you turn over to a camera where a young woman with blonde hair who just looks haggard and tired, like if she just got one good night's sleep, wouldn't be so frustrated with her day-to-day, but she just kind of impishly stamps her feet a little and, they don't know the forest, Elwyn. And Elwyn, you don't know the forest either, darling. You don't leave the house. And everyone kind of, ooh. But again, like, it feels like it could hurt, but this is clearly something that everyone is used to hearing. Everyone knows each other's flaws. They've all grown up here together for quite some time. And so Joan looks at her and says, well, if they go into the forest and end up needing your help, that's gonna be 3 more you need to save. And then she kind of crosses her arms, and you can tell she won't say anything else, but she doesn't love this plan. And Elowen says, well, I think you might be surprised by some fresh eyes and what they bring to the table. But I don't like to force things upon people. We're just having a conversation now. What would you all say to working together on this task? We need some help. I'd be willing to pay you for it.
I mean, I don't know this forest per se, but I do know a forest, so that could help.
Indeed.
I've sworn to I always help people that ask for help, so I'm in.
Oh, yes. You choose your words carefully now.
I will turn away for a minute, and I'll rummage around in my little sack or my clothes. I'll pull out a very empty coin pouch and I'll shake it out. She said, and I'll turn back around and be like, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
And how
I've got
about
a-
you, Sugar Blossom? And she's
I've
looking
got
at you.
a little bit of magic. I don't know if it'll help, but I can try.
Well, wonderful. Now, how about all of you folk? And she's turning back to the greater crowd. Go on back to your day-to-days. We've done the work now. You do yours and they'll do theirs. I'll make sure they know the right path. And with kind of a sudden relaxation, a breath of fresh air enters everyone as they continue about their days, milling about, discussing. And meanwhile, Elowen kind of draws the four of you in, and as she looks you up and down, well, you're either brave or you're stupid, and in either case I do appreciate you, but I don't like to set people up for failure, so I'm sure you got questions. What can I tell you?
So there are lights from what I gather, and that's about all I've gathered so far.
I'm not sure how I can help unless you tell me how we can help.
That's fair enough. Now, what we have here is some kind of phenomenon that is creating these lights, and they don't seem to be mean lights, but they're a pickle to track down because they're so fast. So people tend to get lost, and then there's other things worse than lights hiding in them woods. So we've had some trouble with the local youth trying to get after whatever mystery's going on in there, because besides that, if you ain't noticed in your own lives, but the critters here are about as furious as a fire on the loose. They're just not paying attention, they're not doing their work, they're not even listening to their owners, and they just kind of stare off into the forest. And I spend every day of my life in that forest, and there's just something not right. The animals are unsettled.
What's a phenomenon?
A phenomenon is like something that you notice that seems odd.
About these lights, are they like did you say a special color? Are they like straight up into the air lights? Are they like zigzag lights? Are they like circle, like a ball light? Like what do the lights look like?
That's a good question. Now, the lights, they seem to change depending on, I don't know, because they don't even seem to follow time, I guess. But sometimes they look like these little glowing orbs of warm light, and other times they're these gorgeous little rings that seem to form these beautiful halos in different shapes and patterns. And then there's these other ones that are more like a burst of energy, and they kind of create a wave that rides out from it. It's very fascinating. I love to study it, but again, I can't hardly keep up with the dang thing with that hip of mine.
Do you want us to draw pictures?
Oh, if you have the ability to draw art, or even let me have a conversation with whatever's going on, if it can have a conversation to conversate with, that would be marvelous.
Okay. And she's gonna I'm just gonna imagine that Buttercup has a notepad, but it's leaves. So it's just like leaves that are like put together, and has some kind of like writing utensil. I don't know. Maybe it's like it's probably like a stick that was like in a fire, and so just like the ash from it, and you can tell that she's drawn in it. It's bad. it's not good. She can't draw. But she'll just kind of like sit there and like study her own drawings and like mutter to herself things like, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, totally.
And Elowen kind of raises an eyebrow, but lets that moment pass before turning her attention to the others. Now, Washa mentioned that if you do happen to need any supplies, you should go to my friend Norog. He's got his shop called Norog Shop. I know it's not the most creative thing, but he ain't the brightest light in the sky, friend. Should you need any supplies, you just mention I sent you, and he'll set you up real nice.
Okay, I have another question about the lights.
Oh yeah.
Oh geez, I'm forgetting the question about the lights immediately. I'm sorry. Give me a
You
second.
know what? At my age, that happens to me all the time, darling. It's not anything to worry about. Your brain is young enough. It'll come back to you. Now,
You said these is
oh,
it the lights that are making the animals act all weird, or is it just kind of a coincidence? Like, do you think it's why they're acting weird? And what kind of animals are acting weird? Are they all acting weird, or is it only specific animals acting weird?
seems like it's any animal we have around here, and any of the ones I've seen in the forest. It's not that they're not living their lives. It's just they're not to task. There's something distracting them.
Okay, I remembered my question.
Mm.
Are there any old people rumors, like, your age, sort of old people rumors about the woods? There's a monster, or
I elbow her. I elbow Inko in the rib for just being a little rude.
Oh, don't you get yourself twisted about calling someone out for being wise. Wisdom's not a thing to be afraid of, you children. And then she kind of waves at Sophie like, well, children, young at heart. And to your question, I don't know. And then you can tell she's kind of playing into the joke about forgetting things at her age. Well, I might remember that we have a lot of monsters in there. We got a lot of rumors about those monsters, but they ain't anything that seems to pertain to what we've seen here. I mean, the one that seems to matter the most that I can think of is about Nalaria herself, but she's just the guardian of the forest, and I ain't ever met her myself.
What, guardian of the forest?
Oh, yes, all the sacred places on our island have guardians to look after them. Sometimes they're spirits, sometimes them other things, but we all need something looking after us, and our island is fortunate to still have the ones looking out for them.
What does this guardian look like?
Well, if I knew that, I'd have met him already. It was hard enough to figure out the name. It took me forever to talk to the forest and get that one.
Oh. Never mind. She's gonna kind of like, like, oh, okay.
Well, y'all seem eager, and I do appreciate it. Do you have any other questions for me? Do you need any supplies? I can show you where Norog's shop is. Otherwise, I can take you to the trailhead. And as she points in kind of the two different directions to the two different places, you notice that whereas the sun was starting to set when you first arrived, it seems to be tinging on the edges of darkness. The sun does seem to be setting, but fortunately for you all, it is the full moon this evening, so you can expect plenty of light.
Sophie, what do you think? You have any questions before we head out?
Just so that I'm clear, you want us to figure out what's making the lights and draw them if we can, and maybe catch one and bring it back so you can talk to it.
I mean, capture, it seems so harsh. I don't like to force anything. But if it was willing to talk to me, if you could tell me where I could meet it sometime, I would think that's certainly agreeable. If it's agreeable, I don't know how ferocious this creature or creatures or entities may end up being. You know, the forest has all kinds of spirits and such that live there.
And another question: what happened to Jeffrey?
He was born on the wrong side of the river and he ain't ever got over it, honey. Oh, but you don't mean in his life what's wrong with Jeffrey. You just mean like what happened to him in the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's, I guess he said something about how there was a mighty forceful wind that swept over him, and then he heard this kind of a cackle, and he didn't know if it was a cackle or if it was a crackle, but it was some kind of noise, and then he just remembers being knocked into a tree.
I mean, I figure getting some supplies would be good for the road. Oh, and about payment, is that now? Is that when we come back?
Oh, I mean, payment can happen however you like, darling. I probably wouldn't pay you all of it now, seeing as, I don't like to say I don't trust people, but I've had experiences that lead me to say it's not harmful to be cautious.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Being cautious is good. And she'll turn to the three of us.
I think we should at least maybe get a stipend if we're gonna go to the shop and get supplies.
Indeed, yeah. So how about I give you each 100 gold now, and then you can have 100 more gold each later.
Is that a lot?
I think so.
I don't really use money.
Do you
I've
use
never
leaves?
had that much.
I don't know if I could carry that much.
Ooh.
Well, it's probably easier to see the lights if we leave at night. But if we want to be rested, like I wasn't prepared to go traveling after some fast lights, so I don't know about you guys.
I'm always ready, so I can go whenever.
Are the lights seen only at night or also during the day?
Well, the issue with the daylight is that it's so bright, the lights look the same. It's kind of a similar tone, you see. But I don't know that we've noticed, really. It does seem to be just at night.
Yeah, so maybe night is best. That's pretty quick. But it sounds important.
Yeah, we can go. I think we can go now. We can go and start down the trail, maybe find a campsite and kind of figure out which way to go from there.
Yeah, I mean, I could show you the trail where we've seen the most activity with the lights and get you started. Wouldn't want to send you off in the wrong direction now.
That sounds good. Did Jeffrey say where this tree was?
Well, it was in the forest, darling.
Well,
But I don't suppose that I could tell you which tree it was. It seems like it was just one of the trees. Oh, when you can tell she's like reaching into the back parts of her brain. I do suppose that he did say it was in the glades, which means it had to be more open than some of the other parts of the forest.
Mako's gonna look up at like the sun and look at the direction of where it's setting to kind of orient where the village is in regards to the forest. So if he goes like, for example, east, he goes towards the village. If he goes west, he goes further into the forest, like which direction to go, and to kind of memorize that.
Cool. I like that. Is there anything else anyone would like to do? Ask, prepare? Would you like to go to Norag's shop?
I think so.
Yeah, we can always
Cool.
see if there's something there that maybe we're missing.
Yeah, so when Elwyn leads you all to Norag's shop, you realize that it's this run-down, gnarled building on a corner, and you're not really sure how it's still standing. And then for those of you with magical abilities, you realize there's got to be some kind of spell doing that. And when you step in, your nose is impacted with incense and candles and sages and citrus. It's just a canopy of smell that drifts through your nose. And behind the counter, you see a stout half-orc who, for all of his intimidating demeanor, just kind of seems to be flitting about. He's actually humming a jaunty little tune as he passes his wares about the place. And as Elwyn leads you into the space, he turns, Elwyn, how was your meeting? Oh, it was good, Norag. It was good. These kids have agreed to help us with our lighting problem, as you've known we have, and they's just hoping to get some supplies from you before they get started. Now, children, and sorry, darling, not children. Folks, adventurers, if you will, and she indicates off in one direction and points at a path. That's the path you're going to want to use if you'd like to get your adventure started. It's going to wind for a bit, and then you'll get to that kind of glady section of the forest I was talking about, and from there the paths get a little bit more treacherous, but somewhere around there is probably the best place to look. I've got some other things I need to tend to, but Norag here should be able to answer your questions and help you out with anything else you need. But anything else I can help you with before I go?
Inko will take a quick look at Mako and be like, "Can I ask you how old you are?"
Me?
Old enough.
Oh, Inko had looked to Mako to be like, worried. No, not you.
Old enough to have lived more lives than you, sugar.
Okay, cryptic, just like every other old person. And she'll
Any
start
more
perusing.
cryptic? And then Elwyn laughs as she calls out, "It's not any more cryptic than you've been with us, child." All right, y'all. I hope you have a nice evening, and do let moonlight light your path now. And then she kind of rambles off down the cobblestone streets as more people continue to call out and speak to her. Now you realize that she is a very busy woman, but she commands enough respect that she didn't dare get disturbed while you all were meeting. And with this transition, you turn to Norag, who's kind of fiddling with more herbs as he's preparing some kind of concoction to mash in a mortar and pestle. Well, what you need?
What do you have, like a large jar, but then also a small blanket to put in the jar, but the lid of the jar can't be too heavy, so maybe like holes in the top of the lid, but not too big. Do you have something like that?
You want like a jar for insects like children use?
No, more like a jar for a light, but nothing
Interesting
like a light hotel, or light inn, so it's not uncomfortable in the jar, because we don't want to hurt it or like make it sad. So just like a comfy jar. And she's gonna look really like that frustrated, like, I know what I want to say. It's in here, but I don't know how to articulate it into words. So she's like thinking and also looking a little frustrated.
Well, I'm not sure what I got for the task, but what about this? And he reaches down, and you realize that he's pulling out a jar made out of the thinnest bamboo you've ever seen. And the bamboo for our, let's see, anyone who wants to make an Arcana check, let's make an Arcana check.
Oh.
Okay,
13.
Ingo gets 5, 13.
It's an unnatural 20.
Oh,
You can try one. Oh. 11.
okay.
Mako totally thinks that she's talking about a lamp or lantern.
Yep. And so it's funny you should mention something like that, because as he pulls this out, it kind of reminds you of like a paper lantern, but it's carved out of this bamboo. And there, as you look at it, Buttercup, you can tell that there is definitely some kind of enchantment reinforcement of some type on this vessel. But Sophie and Mako, what you both realize is that this structure has been enhanced with a magic that is designed to contain unusual forces. So whether that was like a force of movement, it was a force of noise or light, it just, the things that aren't supposed to have that kind of substance and be able to be captured in that way, if they were in this jar, they could be captured that way. And so he pulls this up onto the counter and says, yeah, that's the one you want probably then.
Buttercup's going off of pure vibes, and the vibes are right. So she's gonna be like, oh, that's perfect. And just kind of like grab it and hold it.
But you need to pay for it. Yeah,
Oh!
that's how that works.
Money, that's right. And she's going to look, and so is Blair. How much money?
How about 120 gold?
Oh, she don't have that much. She's gonna dig through her bag, and because I think, unless I did it wrong, which is possible that this is a Blair error, it says I only have 10. Is there anything else you want other than money? Like berries or writing sticks, and she's just gonna list off stuff that she may have in her bag.
Inko will try to step in between and say, what my friend here means, the old lady gave us money. She gave us the 100, did she?
Oh, did she give
Or
us
did she just say that she was going to?
Yeah, so before she left, you saw a quick exchange in which she gave him 400 coin. So he's basically just telling you it's a little more than the 100 you were
okay.
given.
Okay. How about this? She's going to turn towards Nullrug completely and be like, okay, so we're going to do this. This is going to be super easy, no problem. You shouldn't worry about it. We're getting 100 gold pieces each again when we get back. Can we just say that we'll owe you 20 gold and you can take that from our successful venture?
And at that proposition, he kind of crosses his arms. Can you make a persuasion roll with that?
Yeah, sure. With my +1.
Or you could do intimidation if you don't want to be friendly about it.
I'd be friendly. It's the same. 13 is what I got.
Okay. So he kind of looks you up and down, and his tusk moves about. All right, I've got a deal for you. If you, and he pulls out another jar and sits it on the counter, if you catch 2 of whatever you catch, I get 1 of them. If you don't, I get 20 gold when you get back, and I get this jar back. Does that seem fair?
I think so, absolutely. Thank you.
fair enough. And he shakes your hand, and anything else?
I think Buttercup will pull one of the berries she had out of her pack, put it on the counter, and go, "That one's free."
Thank you. And I can eat it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. Sure. Back up.
Do you happen to have any maps of the area, or maps of the forest, a compass, maybe?
Oh, that's classic Eloin to set you off on a task and not actually give you the tools. Yeah. And he chuckles as he pulls out a map of the forest, and you can tell that it kind of indicates where things might be or have been seen, but strangely the paths themselves are not marked, and you realize that just must be because either not that many people travel them to have had the paths be marked, or that certain areas are just more explored than others. So you can see the beginning through the glade area that Eloin was talking about. It's a pretty clearly defined path. It feels like you shouldn't have any trouble there. But after that, you can see there's just kind of splinters of notes and mentions of things here and there. To accompany this map, he also pulls out a gorgeous little bronze compass, and as it swirls around, it catches your eye and gleams in the light.
That's amazing. I'd love to purchase those, and if you have any pencils, maybe we can fill out the rest of that map. And if I have enough money left over, I'd love to get a sketchbook. Yeah, and maybe an extra pencil.
Okay. Pencil. Oh, yeah, you want the thing that you can write over again. Okay. So he reaches down and pulls out a very simple leather-bound journal, and he pulls out a few of the implements you're discussing, and he says, "Yeah, I think that's 90 right there."
That's great. I'll take it. Thank you.
Anything else?
Buttercup, does she have any bags or anything, or is she just in whatever clothes she's wearing? Is that all she's got?
I think she has probably a pretty simple pack get up. It's probably trying to think. It's probably not. It's probably pretty worn. Maybe leathers and stuff, but then she's probably decorated it with little leaves and stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of a little backpack type situation.
Okay.
With a roll. I'm pretty sure I have a yeah.
Right. Does Sophie seem like she's ready for the elements? I'm figuring Mako is totally prepped and ready to go. He's good.
Yeah, Sophie's ready to go, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to splurge for a tent or something in case it rains. I mean, I've only got a bedroll. I don't mind sleeping outside, but I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to pull Nalrog aside and be like, okay, I think we'll need at least how many, I need 4 sets of a little bit warmer clothes. How much would a tent be? A couple extra bedrolls. She hands him a full list of just basic adventuring kind of kit.
Yeah. I figured you'd be the one who needs stuff. Let me see here. I'll put it together for you. And he flits around. He assembles some supplies. You kind of hear him mutter about it, and you can tell it's all in good fun as he does so. But altogether, he puts together 4 kits for you that include everything on your list. And he says, "All right, I think 4 kits, 25 each. It's 100 gold."
She'll look at her little coin bag and pour it all on the counter, and then just, or no, he already has the money, so I'll be like, okay, that's my portion. I'll step back.
Have you been to the Glades? Is there something you would take with you if you were going out there?
Well, I don't know, her list was pretty inclusive, but if you just want something fun and interesting, I do have this. And he pulls out an array of a few different potions. One of them is filled with a black, kind of wispy cloud liquid. The other is filled with an emerald potion that smells like musk. Another is a golden elixir in a fragile crystal flask. And another is a variegated elixir that kind of flickers in the light. These are kind of fun.
What do they do?
Well, that one, and he points to the black one, that one helps you be sneaky. That one, pointing to the emerald, helps you be strong. That one helps you, and he points to the golden elixir, helps you have a lot of stamina. And that one will help you not die if you don't ruin how you use it.
How much are they?
Well, these ones are not very cheap. These will probably run you about 200 gold and more. But I have kind of lesser versions of these if you want something that gets you through a quick pinch of a moment.
Will we only be a little bit dead?
I mean, a little bit dead's better than not dead at all. Wait a minute. And he's like, is that right? No, I don't think so.
Are we gonna die?
I mean, nobody's died in the forest who didn't do something stupid.
We were asked if we were stupid, though.
Oh, that's just Elowen. She's always fatalistic.
Which of these do you think we should take? Sophie asked that to the group.
Maybe the not die one? Or the sneak one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not very strong. I could be sneaky.
I don't know how strong a light is. Like if we're having to wrestle a light into a...
Then stamina might be good if we're trying to chase after something really fast, because they're fast, right?
Oh no, they all have pros.
You all have been so helpful.
They all sound good.
I don't think you can go wrong, Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
Sophie's
Well,
choice.
I think we'll take the not dying one. That seems to be consensus. And I can make us strong, I think. And maybe the sneaky one would be best. Can we have
All right.
those?
Yeah, so you want the sneaky one?
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, lesser version of this one, and you can tell like, oh, how much would that be? Yeah, this one would cost you about 100 for the lesser version of it.
Okay.
All right. Well, and this will be yours then. And he kind of passes over 10 gold to Mako. He didn't quite spend that all, so you can have fun with that. And I wish you all best. Have fun out there. It's a great time for you.
Thanks.
All right. Is there anything else you want to do before you go?
good to get on the
Awesome.
trail.
Sweet. So, having asked their questions and readied themselves for a long night, our party begins to travel down the winding dirt path. As the final light of day begins to fade and the moon prepares to rise, the group rounds a corner of the forest as it transitions from the peaceful village setting into a calming forest where the crackles of branches and the snaps of critters as they dance across branches and pass through bushes nearby, birds singing in the distance as they communicate in their varied songs. And the path winds pretty straightforward. This is where you can tell it's well trod, and following the map that Mako has, it's pretty straightforward to get to these open glades. And you can tell that as you round the corner and catch sight of this first one, that these strange little wooden stakes have been placed in the ground, and these round orbs of glowing light are currently shining in them. And while the first few seem intentionally placed, you realize that there's not just these lights that are glowing on these stakes that seem to be intentionally placed. There are also more light orbs dancing around you, kind of flitting as they capture different areas of luminous moonlight. And could you all give me a perception check?
Inko got
4.
12.
Nice. Okay. 12, 4.
24.
Ooh, 24.
Mako got a 22 and is feverishly looking for a Jeffrey-sized hole in a tree.
And Deb, were you the 4? Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, so 24. Okay. So, Deb, as you come around this scene, you kind of peer up at the moonlight, and it just so happens to like weirdly shine brighter in that moment. And so when you look down to clear your eyes, you look directly into this calm moonlit pool that is reflecting that same light at your eyes. Oh gosh, and that didn't help at all. So you're momentarily distracted. But the rest of you notice that in a bush nearby you, there's a rustling of leaves, and as you peer closer, the sound of rushing wind startles you as a mini tornado bursts out of the bush. And while Sophie is recovering from their initial shock, the rest of you continue to examine the foliage, having caught a flash of these red-orange eyes gazing back at them before they disappear with another shake of leaves. But you're too distracted to focus on that right now because this whirling, swirling, luminous being is now floating effortlessly before you, leaving a trail of sparkling dust in its wake. Friends? New friends? Hooray! And the creature cries out as it swirls around each of you curiously. What game did you come to play? Ribbon in the air? Hair finds its hole? Reed in the wind? Ooh. And this cute little creature just whirls with excitement as when it travels, this warm, glowing light shoots out from underneath it.
Buttercup went from a little like on guard to now super excited. Um, so she's just kind of like doing like a little clap while watching the little tornado happen. She's gonna go, What's your favorite game?"
Oh, I love any game that I get to play with friends, and it whirls about again in excitement. Will you be a friend that plays a game with me?
Yes.
What about the rest of you?
I would like to know a little bit more about these games as well, before I agree to them wholesale. What does hair in the hole mean? What game is that?
Oh, well, hair in the hole. Hair in the hole is the one where I try to you like. Oh gosh, and you can tell he's just too excited. Like he can't even come up with the words. Okay. So like I'm gonna be in this one spot, and you're all gonna be like way over there, and he kind of points off into the distance, and then you're gonna have to come and try to tag me, but I'm gonna totally try to blow you away every once in a while. So like you gotta like not get blown away.
Hair in the hole. That make. No,
Yeah,
I
you
don't
gotta
get it.
find your hole so you don't get blown away. You gotta find your hidey hole.
Oh.
Don't you know rabbits?
Oh, I was thinking hair. Yeah, I wasn't putting that together.
Mako kind of like rubs his eyes, and his eyes are kind of wide because he's in a bit of disbelief because the night before he had a dream of this being, and he's kind of shocked to see it in real life. And he'd like to do an insight check or a vibe check to see how he feels about this being.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, it's a natural one.
Yeah, this creature seems great. Like, what could go wrong with a little cute little wind spirit that wants to play games with you?
Yeah, okay, great.
What's your name?
It's Aeolian! And like the sound erupts from him with a jaunty little musical note. I am Aeolian, the last Zephyr. Ooh, 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 ooh. And like with that little fanfare gesture, a few more sparks of light erupt from him.
Aeolian, it's nice to meet you. I'm Sophie. Did you happen to meet a boy named Jeffrey?
Oh, Jeffrey was so fun to play with. I felt bad. He wasn't very good at Hair Finds Its Hole.
Uh-huh. What happened to him?
Well, he didn't find his hole, and then one of the loose branches just kind of chased him. It wasn't my fault. I didn't do it on purpose, I swear. I even brought him over where Elwyn would find him. It's fine. He's fine. That happens to him all the time.
Oh, you know Elowen.
Oh, Elwyn loves playing my games. We play them all the time.
This sounds good. This sounds like we should play games. Yes.
We should play games with a purpose. Aeolian, we're here to look at some big lights that are fast and have been scaring the townsfolk. Do you know anything about those?
I don't know about scary lights, but if you want fast lights, we should play Ribbon in the Air. Ribbon in the Air is so much fun.
What's ribbon in the air involve?
Well, Ribbon in the Air, I make these rings, and then he kind of manifests this spectral ring that reminds you of a hedgehog in some ways. And he says, yeah, so I make the rings, and you have to go whoosh, and he kind of flies right through it. You go through the rings. If you can do it before they go away, you win.
What happens if you don't?
Well, I don't know. We could play again.
Oh, okay.
This one sounds safer.
Well, do we want to play with Aeolian, or do we want to find these lights and get out of here?
Oh, find the lights. Do you mean that thing Elwyn was talking about?
Almost definitely, I think.
Oh, well, you should have just said that, silly. Yeah, I know about the lights. How about this? How about this? How about this? And he gives another swirl of excitement. If you play one game with me, I'll show you where you should go next. Yeah. And more light kind of bursts out from him in excitement.
That sounds like a fair deal.
Yeah, what are our options again? Hair finds its hole.
Yeah. So Hair finds its hole, and then there's Ribbon in the Air, and then the other one is Reed in the Wind, and that one is really good. And like if you like to sing or do music and stuff, cause I'm gonna make a sound like Aeolian, and you have to make the sound using those things. And he kind of gestures over at one of the calm ponds, and you realize he's taken some of the reeds from the pond and cut holes in a few of them so that when when they are smacked, they create different tones. And he's got a special stick that he kind of gestures at you like, that's the stick, that's the one you use.
I don't know. All of them sound really fun.
Mako, which one are you most comfortable with playing if you were to play one?
I guess the running one. I'm kind of fast. Not
The hair in the hole?
No, that's the one with the rings.
Okay.
Not very good with music or the arts in general.
If it was drawing, I'd definitely pick that one, but I agree. I think the rings that sound good.
Rings?
Yeah.
Oh, splendid, splendid, splendid. Ribbon in the air. I haven't played it in forever. Elowen never wants to play it with me. She says it's her hip. And he's just momentarily distraught before he jumps up in the air again. And all right. So let me make the course for you. And in a big swooping arc in this glade that you're in, he creates 10 rings. And the rings are about 5 feet apart from each other. Some are more like 10 feet. And one of them is actually over the pond itself. And as he creates this course, he comes back to you all and he says, okay. So you go through the rings and you can leap and twirl and you can dance and just don't touch the rings when you go through them. And when you're done, you win.
What happens if you touch the rings?
If you touch the rings, you have to start over.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know. I like to see you have fun. So like I don't know. If you have these cool ideas, I have things that I can make for you that would like make it more fun for you to play.
If we touch the rings, it doesn't hurt us, right?
Oh no, it's just light. You might just feel like all warm and fuzzy inside, because that's how I feel right now.
Great.
Can we add something to if we win?
Okay, maybe. What do you want to add?
Also, if we win, can we keep a ring?
Oh. How do you keep a ring?
In this, and she's gonna pull out one of the bamboo jars.
Whoa. And like for a second, he kind of creates a light that fills the space. And he watches as it sits in there, but without the lid, the light just kind of floats back out and becomes another one of the floating orbs. It's like, that's cool. Yeah. If you win, you can have another one of those. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And are you gonna like set up the rings so that we can kind of see the path we have to
Yes.
take?
So he's already set up the rings on a path, and overall, you're just kind of traveling through the forest glade. The rings are about 5-10 feet apart, depending on where they are. In the arc that it goes from, it kind of starts at one of the big gnarled trees next to you and drifts out in front of you. And one of the last rings that you have to pass through is over one of the little pools that you see in the clearing. And what else? Yeah, so if we were to translate this experience into some terms that have rules associated with them, basically I would need each of you to make some kind of strength or dexterity check. So things like acrobatics, athletics, other things like that. Stealth, even if you could, yeah, I think stealth would work for this one because there's some agility involved in those actions. You can pick the skill that you want to use for it. You can decide like if you just want to buff one person who has to get through all the rings, or if you each want to take some number of the rings based on where they are. It's kind of up to you all how you want to tackle this challenge.
Could I do a quick investigation or look around to see if it's like rough terrain or anything like that, or if there's anything that would kind of make it harder for us?
Yeah, if you want to take a look.
It's an 11.
Okay. Yeah, so from your general examination as you walk this path that Aeolian has set for you, you realize it's not terribly difficult. There's a few roots and rocks and typical forest things to look out for, but other than that, his biggest challenge he seems to have set for you is the ring that's over the water.
I'm happy to do some of them. I'm pretty strong. I could probably could I make a jump? Like if I was a good long jumper, would I be able to get through that ring over the water?
Yeah, so the ring itself is maybe on either side, about 2 feet away from the edge of the water itself. So maybe if you had a running start, you could get through that one.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
Maybe
Aeolian,
some of you have some other spells or things you could do.
I have shape water, and I was thinking if it's not cheating, and I'd have to check in with Aeolian, but I could freeze some of the water around it so we could just kind of run through it instead of having to jump. It might be a little slippery, but might be easier.
That's really smart.
Yeah, Aeolian doesn't seem to be listening to you at all, so he's not creating any sort of structure you have to follow. He's more like, play games with friends, games with friends. He's chanting his own little song.
So he wouldn't be upset if we altered the terrain at all or anything like that.
No, he, like, if as he hears you say these things, he kind of gives these whirls of excitement, like, Elowen never changes the rules. Oh my gosh.
Are we all gonna do it, or just one of us that we all help?
I don't know. I could help. I could help change the water. I could run through it. We could do, I don't know, a baton, and each of us take 2. How many are there? There's 10. That's not good math, but something like that.
Like a little relay. Ooh, that
Yeah.
sounds fun. Buttercup's also going to she's going to kind of like, as we get ready, like high five everybody, and as she high fives everybody and then gives herself a high five, she's gonna cast the cantrip guidance for everybody. So you all get a D4 that you can add to an ability check of your choice. Before or after making the
Nice.
roll.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Is the pond super deep?
The pond, as you go and examine that, at the very edges, it's maybe only like ankle height, drifting into knee height, but right where the ring is, it does have a sudden drop that would be about all of your heights, a little bit more for our shorter friends, obviously, but basically all of you would be totally soaked if you actually landed in that section.
Okay. So I could shape the water around the ring, so then it's just the earth, and then I could mold the earth and raise it up 5 feet, so then you can just run through it, or like at least just do a little jump through it.
That's
But
awesome.
if I do that, then I probably can't run through all the rings.
All right, so it sounds like you all want to do a sharing of running through the rings. Is that what I'm hearing?
I can volunteer to take 4 if you two want to do 3 each.
Sure.
All right.
I could do the first 3 and then run to the. Oh, I guess I could shape the stuff now, and then that lasts for an hour. I think. Yeah, I'll do that stuff now.
Okay.
So I'll go move the water around and mold the earth, so it becomes almost like a ramp up to the ring and then a ramp coming down.
Yeah, and Mako, as you use this magic, how does it kind of transform and how does it work with you?
Yeah, it's almost. I imagine it just as like kind of like water bending, where he's like just moving his hands around and he's pulling and pushing the water, making sure that like if there's any fish in there that they stay in the water, and none of them are on the earth. And then he kind of just lifts up, and the stone kind of moves up, or the earth moves up to kind of create a ramp. And then, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. So, as Mako's character moves these elements with seeming ease, the little Zephyr spirit is just swirling with excitement, like practically over his head this whole time, causing this whirlwind of wind to swirl around him as this is happening. But when he finishes, Aeolian kind of gets a grip on himself and says, "You can move the elements too?
Yeah, I think I was
Can you
born
move
with it.
me?"
Um,
That would be
maybe
weird, but can you?
I. I don't know. I haven't tried.
Whoa. Maybe we could
Um,
try another time. But I know
yeah.
you just seem so like she's so focused on the lights. I think you all have things to do. I get it. Okay, are we ready? Okay, does anybody have anything else they want to do?
Should we decide the order, I guess?
Oh, that's smart. You're smart.
Was there anything else? Sorry, remind one more time. The pond was the biggest, like, challenge spot. The rest of them just kind of like went in a path, or was there stuff around
Yep, so
in
the
it?
pond was your biggest one. Throughout all of them, they all have about the same amount of risk, other than that initial, whoever is doing that transition from land to the now created structure.
Gotcha.
There will be a slightly higher challenge there, but otherwise, you all have about the same amount of chance of like catching a rock or a root or something like that.
Okay.
Well, I'd say let's start with the most difficult one first, so that if we flub that, we can just start over again. Unless we lose a limb. I hope we don't lose limbs, but um,
That would be so mean. That's no fun. Jeffrey didn't lose limbs. What did Elowen say about me? He like gives you a stink eye.
just be careful. Be cautious. Nothing against you personally. Are you ready? Inko's trying to now change topic.
Well, I'm ready, but he said you should decide your order. So he said he's gonna do the first three. Who's gonna do the next one?
I can go next.
Oh, cool. I like your antlers.
Thank you. I like your everything.
Oh, you're so
I'll
nice.
I'll do the next chunk, and then Sophie, you want to do one? Or two?
Perfect. I could do 2.
Oh, great, great. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh. We're all gonna play this game. And he whirls around and more lights shoot off of him. All right, ready? Awesome. So for this part, all you're going to need to do is declare what skill you'd like to use, if there's any helps, aids, things that you would like to add. I will also offer if anybody else wants to assist you on your roll, we'll get that done as well. And then you'll make your roll and I'll let you know how you did.
Awesome.
Cool. So, Mako, what skill would you like to use for these challenges? Again, typically leaning towards dex or strength, so acrobatics, athletics, stealth, things like that.
I will use acrobatics.
All right. Go ahead and make your roll for the first ring. And is there a certain ring you want to go for? I know Inko suggested going for the hardest one first.
Oh, I imagine the hardest one would be at the end, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I imagined. But
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
No, that's
I don't know
awesome.
if Sophie's comfortable with that or not.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, great. So the first ring I got 14.
Cool. So you definitely jump through the first ring. This one is again just next to that big gnarled oak, and you land deftly on the ground. Let's go ahead and make another roll.
It's another 14.
Okay. The second one, you spy the root that's drifting out of the ground just as your feet leave it, so you manage to get that foot an extra inch higher as you again gracefully step through this ring. And one more roll for me.
That is a 10.
D4, 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 D4.
Oh, yeah, great. Ah. Plus 3, 13.
Okay, so on this one, as you jump through the ring, there's a brief moment where a branch that you didn't quite see kind of catches you, and there's a hot second where your hand goes gracefully close to the edge of the ring when you instinctively go to catch yourself off of the branch. But at the last minute, you remember, and your hand freezes as you pass through the ring.
Oh, goodness. Whew.
All right, and then I think Inko was next, right? Or no, Blair. Sorry, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also gonna use acrobatics.
Okay.
Did I have 3 as well? Yes, math. Yes. Okay. Cool. So first one, yeah. Oh, 23.
Oh, all right. So how would you like to pass through this ring? Let's say this one is just floating above a boulder that's kind of got a nice square shape to it.
Um, I'm trying to. How do I phrase this to where it's not in like a creepy way? Because I feel like she's like used to hanging out with like animals in the forest. So I pictured her kind of like doing like a fast run, like on all fours, but not scary, not like scary movie like, but just kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit more like kind of like maybe like one like that and then like into a cartwheel. So it's like combo of like 4 legs, but also like acrobatics. It doesn't look creepy. But yeah, that just kind of like helps her go a little bit faster. She just kind of like,
Awesome. So yeah, Buttercup surges forward and for a brief moment looks like a creature whose antlers she currently bears. And then she leaps to the sky and jumps through the ring as the cartwheel transforms her and she lands with a graceful ta-da!
yes.
All right. What's your next roll?
Next one. 16.
Okay, so this one not as graceful as your first one, but a little more graceful than our friend Mako here. You managed to do a nice little hop through the next ring. And one more for you, right?
Yes. Last
Okay.
one. Oh, 10, but I'm going to roll that d4. Whoa, and drop it on the ground. So I'm going to grab another one. Oh my gosh. Had that even popped out of my. Hold on. Sorry. Blah. 2, so 12.
Okay. So on this one, I'm sorry, I've realized I've been totally forgetting to ask everybody if they would like to do anything. Is there anything anybody would like to do on this roll before something happens?
I cast Fireball. No, I don't think I have anything.
I think, let me see here. Sorry, I'm just double checking to see if there's anything I'm thinking of. But yeah, what's your idea?
I want to cast Suggestion on Aeolian and have them move the ring like down to kind of center Buttercup in so that she makes it through.
Okay.
That is a
So yeah,
Wisdom
Sophie.
13 save.
Okay, yep. And let's have him do that. And while I'm doing that roll, Sophie, as Buttercup's feet leave the ground, just so confident after those first two leaps went so well, you notice that her cockiness kind of gets the better of her. And as she jumps in the air, she just kind of fully spreads her arms wide and is lost in that moment and is just so happy to be playing that game in the forest. And as you reach out to Aeolian to make your suggestion, what does that sound like or look like?
I think she will just kind of quickly turn to an alien and say, "Help us win."
Help you win. And like, there's not even really a moment of hesitation. He didn't roll very well. So I love when people win. I love that. Yeah. And so as Buttercup's arms are stretched wide and they come in that celebratory moment for that brief second, she's pencil shaped and the ring just zips over and whoo, almost like one of those like advertising tubes shapes. And then she lands to the ground with not as much grace as the first two, but fortunately still doesn't touch the ring.
Thank you, thank you.
Awesome. And okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm going to be using athletics. I don't know if it'll just be for flavor, but I have something called pole arm master, which is used with a quarterstaff, or like the staff that I have is considered a quarterstaff. So I was assuming that I'd be using it to like kind of jump through uh, the rings. So I don't know if that'll help me or
Yeah.
hinder, but yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do with that is let's give you advantage on these
Ooh.
rolls.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I roll badly, so I love that. Love that for me. Okay. My first one. Oh, I'm glad. That's a 24 for
Oh,
athletics.
nice. Yeah. So how is your athletic swirl of impressiveness go?
Oh yeah. So I I feed off that cocky energy I think that Buttercup maybe had brought. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is my time to shine. I've been so antisocial. They probably think I'm a loser. So I use it as like, yeah, I'm pole vaulting and pole jumping through the, uh, yeah, through the ring. The first one, at least. Okay. Second one.
Yep.
Ooh, 21.
All right.
I, I don't think I stop. I think I just keep that pace going.
Nice. And so in this pace, you realize that your rings are drawing you ever closer to the pool. And right at that moment when you're about to step into the water, you even gracefully manage to stop so that not a drop of water
Ooh,
touches you.
love that.
And even on this calm night, you manage to not disturb the water. And so no ripples even appear. And finally, the group, having successfully gone through all of these rings, they turn to small Sophie, sweet Sophie with her beautiful sun hat. Are you ready?
Yes. Sophie's gonna look at the two rings left, and she's gonna say, "Okay, you can do this." And I'm gonna cast Enhance Ability on myself with Cat's Agility and use Acrobatics.
Cool. And then for this one, because you have the extra challenge of the adjusted ring afterwards, I'd like for you to roll both of your attempts, and then we'll kind of go over how those work together.
Okay. Oh, the first one is only a 9.
D4.
I will use the D4. The second roll is a 16. And adding a D4 to the first one, thanks for that reminder, 1. So that first one was a 10.
All right. Anybody have anything they want to try?
I could hold person so you eat dirt. I just fall face first and immediately, but
Could I like mold the earth under her and kind of push her up if I notice that she's not gonna make it through? Just give her a little boost.
Yes. So let's have, let's see, Deb and Andrew, and then Blair K. Which one of you would like to jump in on a roll?
I'm happy to do a roll to.
Okay. So cool. All of you are going to roll Dex. K, if you could just roll a d20 for that and not add any of your modifiers.
Sure thing.
Just a straight dex roll.
Yep.
18.
It's a 9.
I got an 8.
Okay, perfect. So
20.
basically what... Awesome, thank
Sorry.
you. So no, you're good. Basically what that was we were rolling to see kind of the sequence of events between Sophie's jump and when kind of people notice that something wrong is about to happen. And fortunately, Andrew, you rolled the highest. So you notice that, or sorry, Buttercup notices that Sophie is about to miss it and kind of elbows Mako like, do something. And so Mako, you manage to mold the earth underneath her, and as she gets that little boost to get her through the ring, she manages to pass through. And then Deb, if you want to talk about how that leap through the final ring over the water looks, I'd love for you to do that.
It's a hot mess. I get thrown off by the shifting earth, and I know that I was going to miss it, and so I just kind of dive through and it tumble kind of ass over tea kettle into the water.
Mako
Nice. And as
runs to help her out of the water.
Awesome. And as Mako provides a hand to a now soaking Sophie, Aeolian is just thrilled with you all. He's swirling and dancing, and sparks are shooting off all over the place. And he says, wow, wow, wow. Oh my gosh, you are so much more fun to play with than Jeffrey or Elwyn. Oh man, like Mako, when you did that whole like and then when you almost missed it, but then like suddenly I was like, yeah, we should play a game. So then I moved the ring, and then you, Inko, when you were just like, and so like whoosh, and like he's just so excited. You realize he's using lots of sound effects and noises, and there's not really words coming out of him at this point, but he kind of rests his hand on an elbow that he doesn't have and says, wow, you guys are something else. I hope you come back sometime. But yeah, I promised you that I would show you the way, and come over here. Do you want to see it? Okay. And he leads you. Oh, sorry, Andrew, was there something you wanted to do?
Yeah, I'm just gonna sneakily cast Thaumaturgy and dry off Sophie.
Awesome. So Sophie, now kindly dried off by her friend Mako, follows behind the other two companions who are following Aeolian. And Aeolian takes you from the kind of heart of the glade area where you had been thus far. And off to the side, there's another path that seems to lead toward a darker part of the forest, whereas this area was sort of bathed in moonlight. The area before you starts to be more covered by dense canopy, and the moonlight can't quite filter through here as evenly as other parts of the forest. So as our adventurers turn their attention to the next segment of their quest, the human people that they actually are going to turn their attention to a break. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us so far, and please stick around to see how our adventurers fare in the next section of our tale. We'll be back in about 5 minutes or so stick around. Thank you so much. And welcome back, everyone, to the tale of Obojima, Tales from the Tall Grass. we are on the island of Obojima, which was a fantasy setting created by 1985 Games, recently on Kickstarter, that was fully funded. And we are exploring some of the playtest content currently available in a time that is actually before the content from our 1985 friends is going to take place, to allow space for the mysteries they're going to be bringing to the table. And in this story, we have 4 young adventurers who find themselves partway through a very magical forest in which they have been sent to discover what exactly is going on with these mysterious lights that have been seen by the local villagers. And along the way, they met a mystical wind spirit named Aeolian, who challenged them to a game of running through the ribbon in the air. And following the successful collaboration of moving through these floating rings of light, they successfully won Aeolian's game, to which they were rewarded with a point in the right direction as far as what their current task is, as well as he creates this luminous light and fills up our friend Buttercup's jars, and she stows those away. And to the group, he kind of whirls for a moment before a simple little jar falls onto the ground. And this jar is uncolored, undyed, and yet somehow is still this same white tone that Aeolian himself is. And on its surface, you see that some kind of wind sigils have been etched onto the clay. And Aeolian says, okay, so we're friends now, and I want my friends to have friend tokens, like the things you give your friends. And it's my favorite jar. And I put some of the essence of the wind in this, and you could call for my help. And if you do that, then I could help you somehow. Maybe give you a bust of wind, or I could help you go up and over something, or I don't know. I mean, if you have other cool ideas, that could be cool too. But it's called Jiro's jar, and I want you to have it.
Thank you.
Oh, but yeah. And if you need to use it, just throw it on the ground, and when it breaks, whatever you need to happen will happen the one time. Yeah, one time.
Can we give you gifts too?
I mean, yeah. What gift do you want to give me?
I think Buttercup will reach up into her flower crown and pluck out one of the flowers, one of the best looking ones, of course, and then just kind of offer it up, to remember us.
And he takes it, and the flower falls through his hands, and you
Oh.
realize it doesn't really have matter. But undeterred, he kind of creates a swirling effect, and the flower lifts above him, and with a gesture of his kind of formless body, one of those light orbs appears and illuminates gloriously this lovely flower you've given him. And he kind of causes the wind to push it into the crook of a tree nearby, where it just gently illuminates from the center of that hidey hole in the tree. Wow, thank you so much. That was beautiful.
That's perfect. For a second there, I thought it was a bad idea, but you fixed it. That was great.
Oh, I mean, we all have our ways of doing things, even if they don't look the same.
True.
Okay, so you're gonna come over here, and he again leads you to the path that he had indicated earlier. Okay, so this is the path. Just make sure you don't go barking up the wrong tree, okay? And have fun, he cries before disappearing above the party in the overhanging canopy, and they all see a gust of wind disturbing the branches as it travels off into another part of the forest, leaving you on this new path where wide open glades with reflective pools of water give way to speckled moonlight that filters through a dense canopy of ancient trees, casting a mosaic of silver onto the floor. Shadows dance among the leaves, and the path ahead becomes more uneven as jagged contours of time-worn boulders and broken, uneven stones form this enigmatic trail, urging the adventurers further into the heart of the forest. The air is thick with secrets, and the whispers of unseen creatures echo through the shifting darkness, beckoning them to uncover the mysteries that lie ahead. As you're moving through these changing sceneries, what are you all talking about? How about Kay? Inko, what are you up to?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, one question I did have was, is there light coming through the canopy now that we're deep in the forest, or is it pretty dark?
In this section, it's definitely much darker, and the moonlight is more speckled through the canopy. It's not totally dark, but as you start moving through, it's going to steadily become darker and darker.
If Inko will face the group and do we mind if people see us with light? I think it's better to see where we're going. Maybe. Okay. Don't freak out. And she's gonna put her arm up, and a little a little otter, little blue or white otter comes out of her sleeve. It like swims and flies through the air, and she'll turn. Buttercup, can I borrow one of the lanterns for a sec, or the jars? And
Yes, sure.
awesome, thank you. And I'll toss it to my friend. I'll say, thank you, Kawato. Can you carry this above us to give us some light? And I think I'll just stay a little bit above us, swimming through the air, holding the lantern as we go through the forest.
Oh, they're so cute.
Thank you. You're my little buddy.
How long have you been friends?
I think about 4 years when I started traveling. We shacked up together, and we've been together since.
What was their name again?
Kawato.
It's a really cute name.
Thank you. Do you have a buddy?
No. I don't have a lot of friends. But what I learned is that, today at least, my friends give each other things. So I really appreciate you getting us those survival kits. So I noticed your coin purse was a little light. Can I at least give you 5 gold pieces to kind of start paying you back for that?
I don't expect any payment back. But if that's what you like, I'll take it. And
Yeah, it's the least I can do.
thank you, Mako. You're a good kid.
I've been told that a lot. Also, Buttercup, I remember you telling Elwyn that you like to draw, and we got this map, and it's not really. You see, the paths kind of end right here, and I got some pencils. It's kind of better than those sticks with charcoal. Do you want to kind of just fill out the rest of the map as we keep going?
You want me to fill out the rest of the map?
Yeah.
Are you
I'm
sure?
I'm not good at any kind of RDC kind of stuff. So, I think if you like to draw, why not? That'd be awesome.
Okay. And I think I'm just now braining this because I want it to happen. I think that Buttercup has, those like, what are they called? It's like papoose. Is that what it's called? The little like where you can like take like a scarf or something and like wrap it up, kind of to where something can sit in the front. I think she picks up Jax, her cat, and kind of like, and has him right there. And I think she's gonna take the map and use Jax's back as she's like walking to try and like draw part of the map. Don't know how good it's gonna turn out, but that's what she thought to do. So She's like, oh yeah.
As Jack. Oh no, you go ahead.
Oh, that was it. She's just gonna be like trying to hype herself up and redrawing this.
Yeah, so as you lift Jax in a position and he gets settled, he's done this before, unfortunately, but his silent protest, well, silent is the wrong word, but from him, just this subtle but constant emits from him anytime you're actually actively drawing something on the map, but he has the courtesy to stop if you're not actively drawing on him.
Those are sounds of joy. He loves not having to walk and just sit and help me out.
Did you
And the
make his
snort he gives in that moment is one of, don't tell them that.
Did you make his cool eye patch?
Oh yeah, it was just a really good leaf that I found, and I think it was like a leather from my backpack or something. But yeah, Jax isn't. Jax is opinionated, so he got in a little bit of a tussle with another kind of like wild cat in the forest. It didn't turn out very well, but he's okay. I think he likes it. It's a nice little fashion piece. He hasn't ripped it off. He did that a lot in the beginning, but it's been 6 months without accident,
Makes
And
him
at
look
this he
tough.
sneezes.
Mako kind of lifts the eye patch to see if he's got his other eye or if it's just like purely aesthetic.
Oh no, there's not an eye. It's definitely, but it's like an old wound. Like it probably happened like years ago. But yeah, he's like, even though he's like grumpy, he doesn't do anything. He's just kind of like, yep, like that's my life.
On the topic of fashion, when I pulled you out of that water, Sophie, I noticed your hat seemed to stay on your head through all that jumping and falling and even coming out of the water. That's a really nice hat.
Thank you. It's a little magical, I guess. And Sophie takes it off her head and puts it on the ground, and it starts to hover in the air a little bit, and there is another Jax now wearing the hat that just shows up. It just stands there. It doesn't do anything.
Whoa, 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 whoa! That's so cool.
Yeah.
What does Jax do? To see like another.
Yeah. So, kind of again strapped into this thing you have him in, there's this moment of when the cat first appears. But as he kind of eyes it with his one good eye, all he does is just the most ferocious, but somehow still kind of disgusting sounding, like "Arr!" Which almost sounds dog-like in a way, but that's not weird for Jax.
I think he likes it.
Yeah. It can be pretty much anybody that I know. I can make them appear. Like I said, they don't do anything. They just kind of stand there, but it's something.
That's pretty cool. Where'd
Yeah.
you get that hat?
Well, I have spent some time around hats in the past and speak to them a little bit and have
Ooh.
made hats here and there, and I made this one, and I was talking to it while I made it, and it does this now, so kind of a surprise.
That's amazing. You talk to and make hats? It's incredible.
Yeah.
Everybody's so creative.
I haven't had a whole lot of friends in the past either, so I talk to the hats instead.
Do like none of us have friends? Is that we're all the same in that? That's kind of Cool?
I mean, I think we have friends now.
That's
We all
kinda
helped
cool.
each other.
I guess.
What do you mean you guess?
It's been like, what, 3 hours maybe? I don't know.
Friends are friends no matter what the time, right? At least that's what it's like with animals, you know?
I guess so. Okay. Friends, then, I guess. Friends. I know.
Ooh, this is cool.
And as you all bathe in this warm new light of having accepted new friendships into your lives, please but tell me what your passive perception is, please.
Mine's 12.
Okay,
16.
nice.
15.
Okay.
11.
All right. So, as you all are having this discussion and the forest continues to make its gradual decline into darkness and speckled moonlight, Buttercup and Mako, you two are going to notice these two not terribly large, but definitely bigger than, a creature like your familiar's size. So, Kamato and Jax, thank you. Kamato and Jax, the eyes are bigger than theirs. Maybe similar to a human's eye size or larger, even a little bit. These two red-orange eyes kind of peer out from you from these ominous-looking trees and boulders that seem to be developing as you pass through.
Do you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And there's multiples, like, on either side?
No, sorry. This is actually just one set of the red-orange eyes staring
Ah.
off, let's say, onto the left side of your path here.
Oh, gotcha.
And as you kind of question what you're seeing, a cold wind feels like it passes through the two of you, and the hairs on the back of your necks rise with a feeling of being watched. And hesitating, you kind of notice there's this oddly shaped boulder shrouded in darkness, and after a moment you realize it's not darkness but fur in a shade so dark it blends in seamlessly into the shadows. And as this fur and eyes rises and the red-orange eyes look down upon you from their perch, a low, gnarled voice cracks out. You've traveled far to come here, but no matter. Return from whence you came now. He snaps as a fox pads down the rocks to sit before you, blocking your path.
Why?
Well, because of what I just said. Leave.
Do you want to play a game too?
I also saw this in my dream last night.
Wait, you saw
I saw
what, me?
I saw you. Ooh, what's your name?
I don't think I need to tell you that. If you did have a dream about me, and his ears kind of twitch around, what did I do?
I think you danced like a turtle, something like that, or asked if I knew a turtle that could dance, or if I knew a turtle dance.
What are your names?
I'm Mako, and this is Buttercup, and Inko, and Sophie. we're here to find some lights, or the source of some lights.
Well, if you're talking about games, you've already seen a source of lights. It sounds like.
Yeah, our new friend, Aeolian.
Yeah, I'm sure he's your new friend. Guy wants to be friends with everybody.
That's not bad.
It's not bad for someone without corporeal form, maybe.
Buttercup's gonna like whisper over to Mako and say, I think he's probably a little stingy because he doesn't have as many friends.
I think he might be just hungry. Most people are just grouchy when they're hungry.
Oh, and then she's gonna pull out the berries from her bag. It's like, do you want berries?
No, I don't want your berries. I'm not hungry, thank you.
Are you thirsty?
Is there something you wanted, or are you leaving soon?
Lights.
The lights. You really think you, the four of you, are gonna be able to do something about the lights?
Oh, depends on what that something is. How about you tell us what you think we're gonna do, and then we'll tell you if you're right.
Well, if you want to speak in riddles, I can give you a better one than that.
Can I look over to Buttercup's kind of laurel crown and see if she's got any lilies in it?
Ooh. Sure. I always just pictured just like a mix of pretty much anything, kind of like a what's blooming in the forest, since she like recreates it whenever they start to wilt and stuff. So if it's lily season, then totally they'd be in there.
Yeah, so in this forest, something that you would have noticed is that the lilies don't seem to have or need a season here. They are... I don't know enough about lilies to know if summer is the season they bloom in, but if it's not supposed to bloom in summer, it would be blooming anyway. So you might have seen those in the pools as you passed by. Maybe you picked one up. If you want to see if you added one to your crown, just since we've been walking, I would say let's just do a high-low roll, and you decide if you're trying for high or low. Otherwise, Mako, if you think you might have picked one up along the way for some reason, we can do it that way too.
I don't think I would have picked one up, but Mako's just remembering his dream, and he remembers seeing lilies as well, and so he wonders if the fox would appreciate a lily.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's scanning Buttercup's crown to see if there's a lily in there that he could give to the fox.
I think that's a good point. Like Buttercup would definitely, like, if she saw new flowers, especially those that weren't in like her home forest, she would probably like pick those up to shove in wherever she could, if not here, then like in her backpack and stuff. So yes, how do we like high roll?
Yeah, so basically you're going to tell me if you're trying for 11 or higher or 10 or lower.
Gotcha. Let's go for higher.
Okay.
We're going to try this.
Oh, before you roll,
Oh,
anybody
sorry.
feel like they want to do anything to assist in this? It's okay if the answer is no, just creating the space for it.
Oh, I was just saying flowers to myself. No, I don't think.
Oh, could I druid craft a lily?
Can you remind me the specifics of that one? I'm looking at it now. Create tarnish. Oh yeah, you instantly make a flower blossom. So yeah, I guess if Mako mentioned that you needed a lily and you hadn't grabbed one anyway, you could certainly druidcraft one.
Oh yeah, then I will do that if you mention it. Just kind of like a turnover of the hands, and it's like, sure, and it's like right there.
All right, Mako, you have your lily.
Yeah, so we just learned this today that, to make friends, gifts is a good way. And, I don't know if you like lilies, but would you accept a flower from us?
And the fox kind of eyes you strangely. You feel like he's pondering the things you said so far and making some kind of decision. And as he looks from each of you, then to Mako, where he lingers before staring at the lily, there's like an air of reluctance about him as he ponders, but then he says, "In darkness dwells a whispered tale where secrets hide beneath the veil. Seek out the stones that softly sigh and let their murmurs guide you nigh." And with a flick of his luscious black tail, he kind of settles in.
Could you say that again so I could write it down?
In darkness dwells a whispered tale where secrets hide beneath the veil. Seek out the stones that softly sigh and let their murmurs guide you nigh.
Okay. The weird furry stones, that wasn't this fox, was it? It was...
Sorry, ask that question one more time.
You had mentioned when we got to this area, the furry stones? Furry boulder?
Yes, he was the furry boulder.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Can you
So
tell
having
us...
been given this riddle, is there any questions you have for our foxy friend here?
Can you tell us where we might find the stones?
Well, there's one there, and there's one over there.
But the sighing stones you mentioned.
Well, if I told you that, it wouldn't be a riddle. You solve the riddle, I'll answer your questions.
Okay.
I thought riddles were supposed to be questions that have answers. This just seems like a really beautiful poem that tells us which direction to go. Is there an answer that we give you, or is this like the way we go?
I think we need a few extra heads on this. I'm gonna take a weird ball out of a sack. I will hang it up on like a tree, or I'll get my familiar Kawato to hold it in the middle of the air. I'll light it. There's incense, and then I'm using my sensor of arguing spirits. So three guys come out of it, I think. Yeah, colored smoke comes out, and they morph into the heads of three old men. I'll be like, hello, I have a question for you folks, please.
So before we get to their reaction, our other three friends, I'm assuming this is your first time seeing anything like this, so do you have any reactions you'd like to share? Deb, let's start with you.
Sophie would just sort of stare at the smoke turning into these heads and be like, what are you doing? What is this?
So there are some spirits. They usually are arguing. You're basically I basically summon them in the middle of their ongoing argument. We can ask each of them a question. Maybe they know the answer to this riddle. Maybe they have some guidance, and then they go back in the censor. We can talk to them about another problem another day. But
Do they agree with each other, or do they just keep arguing through the whole thing?
I mean, that's a good question.
Okay.
Remember what I said about old folks being cryptic?
Yeah.
It's 3 old folks. Good.
And then as you say that, 2 of the men can be overheard. One is saying, "You're supposed to keep the grass long." "No, you're supposed to keep it short. You don't understand." And the other one's like, "You guys, we're in a forest. There's plenty of grass."
Oh my goodness. All right. Sirs, hello. I have some questions for you, please. Can I get anyone's attention?
And the one who's not participating in the argument, whose head appears to be someone who had long, kind of maybe light hair, like thinning hair, wavy a little bit, and very thin, lean face. And he says, "Yes, your question."
Yes, I would like to tell you a riddle, and I would like you to give me the answer if you know it, please. How do I form that into a question? What is the answer to this riddle, or what would be the answer to the riddle? "In darkness dwells a whispered tale, where secrets hide beneath the veil. Seek out the stones that softly sigh, and let their murmurs guide you nigh."
Well, and I'm going to roll a history check for him to see what this particular guy remembers about this. Okay. So he kind of ponders your riddle. Well, well, murmurs guide you nigh sounds like sound. So something makes a sound that, oh wait, seek out the stones. Only certain things make sounds. Yeah, certain things make sounds. And with that, his head kind of fizzles back into this mystical, mundane jar that sloshes as he re-enters it.
Anyone else want to try? We're batting at a 0 for 0 rate right now, or 0 for 5 rate, I think.
Oh, I could, like, kind of make a stone sigh if that's what we need. And she's gonna walk over to one of the stones that the fox pointed out and just kind of touch it and druidcraft again, because I can make a little sound. I think sensory effect. Yeah, she probably just touches it, and then you just hear like I'm picturing the doors from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where it's just like, like she just like touches the rock and it makes it's like, is that what we needed?
And the fox who broods before you just...
Okay. I'll keep thinking.
And
then as a reminder, the device that Inko just brought out is a 3-headed thing. So one question was asked of one head, but you have 2 other heads you can ask questions to. Sorry, in this moment, I'm just going to clarify, add some more information. What our friend Inko has here is some of the playtest content that was given to us by 1985 Games. The Censer of Arguing Spirits is a rare artifact that is a tarnished and dented center that seems to be this unimportant mundane item. Sloshing sounds can be heard from within the pot when shaken, and it always feels slightly warm. But when the lid is removed, as we saw, these 3 tendrils of colored smoke rise from it, and they morph into the heads of these 3 old men. And folks are able to ask each of the men 1 question once a day, and once they have done that, they can't ask any more questions from it until the start of the next day. And nobody knows who the men were, but they seem to retain the knowledge of their past lives.
So, Mr. Wolf, there is like an answer to this riddle, right? It's not like an action we have to perform, or is it like an action we have to perform?
Well, I would say that a riddle is something that leads you to action.
How old are you, Mr. Wolf? Mr. Fox?
It's a weirdly personal question to ask somebody you just met. Did you do that with each other yet, even?
No, I learned it from Inko. She asked another old lady how old she was, and then she said old people are cryptic, so I just am trying to figure things out. Sorry, I was rude.
Yes, it was. And for all that his words are kind of mean, you sense that, like, he's more so just the grumpy old man grumping at you, not necessarily that he's actually mad at you.
Fair enough. I'd like to do like a survival or like or perception check just to see the area, if there are stones around or anything like that, or if there's like anything that would be that you'd have to move or interact with in order to solve this riddle, or if it's fully just a mental question that we have to come up with an answer to.
Yeah, so go ahead and give me a investigation or perception roll, whichever one you prefer.
Perception, I got 14.
Okay. So with a perception of 14, you kind of ponder the riddle as you walk through the area, and almost absentmindedly you're like, gosh, I've just never been good at riddles. Why did this challenge have to be a riddle? Oh, this is so hard. And in that moment when your brain thinks how hard it is, your foot happens to step on a stone, and when you do that, a soft melodic tone emanates from it.
I look wide-eyed at the group.
Step on the rocks.
How many rocks are there?
Yeah, there are 6 rocks, and when you all kind of work together, I assume, to explore the area and find the others, you realize that each one makes a different sound.
Okay. Again, I'm not good with the artsy kind of stuff. Is there like a song that we have to play or something, or?
And at that question, without any prompting, one of the old men's heads says, "Well, obviously, Sonny. What sounds without music? It said, seek out the stones to softly sigh and let their murmurs guide you nigh. You have to play them, Sonny." And with that, his head is then swallowed into the censer.
What music?
And at this is the final old man, and whereas the first one was long and skinny, and the second one was kind of portly and round, but balding with the side part a little bit, this final man has the classic gnarled beard, wild bushy hair surrounds him, and he just kind of twinkles with these kind eyes, and sensing the group's confusion and disarray, he just says in the most honey-rich tone that feels like a warm hug as it passes through your ears, he says, "Children, all you need to do is find where the music is, and then you can play the notes. That's where your whispered tale is. And if it were me, I'd look behind some kind of veil, and I think you see what I'm talking about." And with a gentle nod, his head gently dips back into the water.
Right, follow our ears.
Buttercup's
Cool.
gonna close her eyes and listen for music or anything melodic.
Yeah, so how about anyone who kind of wants to explore or investigate? I actually want you to give me a wisdom check.
Eight.
I got a 16.
I got a 5.
I got a 6.
Cool. So Sophie, after the final head kind of dips forward, your character has been kind of standing off to the side and slowly listening as everyone's contributed to this conversation. And what you realize is that some of the stones that were behind where the fox was sitting seem to be carved with different shapes. And as you look at those different shapes, you sort of realize they kind of mimic the stones that you found.
I think there's a clue over here. I'll beckon everyone over to look at the stones.
Totally.
They seem to match the ones on the ground.
I kind of like try to look around the fox.
And at this point, I should clarify that he had to step down to kind of approach all of you and block your path, so he's no longer where he was sitting before. He's off to the side, kind of by some of the rocks.
So, do we hit the stones in that order?
Sure.
I think it's a good start.
All right.
So there are 6 stones, and you each have 2 hands. Would you each like to take a set of stones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to see if there's a chance that you all kind of mess this up, I don't think you will because you have the music and you're standing by the stones, but could you each just roll a d4 for me and tell me what number you get?
I got a 2. Well,
4?
there's 6 stones and there's 4 of us.
I got a 3.
I also got a 3.
Sorry, you're right. I mathed wrong. I meant to say there are 8 stones because I want each of you to have 2. Okay, cool. So, with those rolls, what I was looking for was to see if there was a majority of ones, and then there was going to be a chance you messed up the music. But fortunately, it seems like you all did okay on that sector. So, as you have explored the glen and you found these series of smooth dark stones, and you found the music that kind of indicates what order you should play them in, they seem to kind of travel further down a path you didn't really notice before. And so as they travel further and further into the darker parts of the forest, you each play these different notes, and the fox gently walks alongside of you as you do this. And when the final note is played, the ground beneath you seems to tremble and quiver as rocks seem to be dropping out from underneath you. And for a moment, you feel like you might fall over, but then abruptly it all just stops, and what you see has appeared before you is a hidden passage that seems to travel underneath even further into another part of the forest. And here, whereas this area had been filled with speckled moonlight, there is nothing penetrating this darkness.
Ooh. How about Inko, your familiar's Koato?
Mhm.
That is he still carrying the little light lantern?
I think so.
Does that light do anything, or is it like magical darkness that doesn't even?
Yeah, so as Inko gestures to Kawato to flit forward with the light that they've generated, the light does work. So it's not an unnatural darkness. It's a really well-sealed secret tunnel.
Okay, secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel.
And as you kind of peer into the darkness and wonder what the shadows hold, the fox kind of bristles and says, "All right, so you did it. You found the secret shortcut. I will tell you my name. My name is Lysican, and I am the reason that people like you move forward and people like Jeffrey don't."
You know Jeffrey.
Well, I don't think that tree would have moved itself, friend. And you realize what he's implying is that he caused Jeffrey's accident.
All right. Well, thank you. You've been very kind and haven't hurt us with trees, so I appreciate that.
Thanks for honoring us with your trust, Mr. Fox.
And hey, just in case. And from a nearby boulder, he flips it over, and you see this small luminescent gemstone, which he nudges over towards your feet, and he says, "That's called Navi's advice, and it might answer some questions if you have any. I can't tell you how many, but just use it if you need it." And who would like to pick up this stone?
I mean, Mako, you gave him the gift earlier, so.
Sure. I'll listen and pick it up.
Cool. As you pick it up, you swear you hear this faint cry of a voice that says, "Hey, listen!"
I'll listen.
And with this gift given, you don't hear that voice again. It just seems to be this one weird thing that happened when you picked it up. There was like, wait, I feel like, no, that couldn't have been anything. And as you each step forward into this hidden passageway, an enveloping darkness swallows each of you as the moonlight disappears behind massive stones. But fortunately, Kamato, with this clever little light, is lighting the way. And these flickering, uncertain lights cause the shadows to twist and dance as this group travels through this tunnel that a mysterious fox has given to them. And just as a spark of light is spotted in the distance, Mako, you notice, because you're kind of traveling in the back of the group, that there's more red-orange eyes staring out at you.
Oh, I think there's more foxes in here with us. Do you
That's
guys?
good.
I mean, it seems like the other Mr. Fox trusted us, so I think we're safe to keep going.
And at that, as you say the words "keep going," the red-orange eyes step out at you, and you see not a fox, but actually this miniaturized drake spirit, and it is a blue drake spirit. And as it looks at you, you realize you've seen this drake before, and Now that you think of it, haven't you been seeing eyes like this for some time right now? Always at the edges, something that you weren't sure was really quite there, but this is not the first time you've seen this drake.
Mako kind of like stands there really stiff, and you guys see him actually quite terrified, kind of stuck in a bit of shock and fear when he sees this drake. He kind of doesn't know what to do, and is stuck there for a sec.
What's the demeanor of the drake?
Well, and as this fear strikes Mako, the drake instantly rushes towards him and curls its body around his feet. And you just sense this flowing just protection and desire to protect coming from it as it just clutches at Mako's feet, kind of giving it a weird hug.
You okay?
Yeah, I think so. I've been having these nightmares a lot recently, about when my parents died, and kind of since then I've been feeling like something had been watching me a lot, and I guess this has been what's been watching me.
And at that, a gentle little almost like a yes.
Kind of, I look in its eyes and kind of try to get a sense of its intentions.
And when you gaze into these red-orange eyes, but whereas the fox was giving off this energy of moodiness and prickliness and just stay away-ness, this creature is emanating nothing but warmth and nothing but love, and that love is entirely directed at you, and you just seem to be the center of its world, and it wants nothing more than to be with you.
Kind of scritch under its chin a bit, I guess, and kind of ease up. What's your name?
And it kind of shakes out its wings and gives you another warm little hug, and this one word comes into your mind, and it's not really spoken out loud, but Bolin is what comes to you.
Bolin. That's a very sweet name. My dad's name was Bo, and my mom's name was Lynn. You can be my new little brother.
And as you say the word brother, the dragon just, and a small little flume of dragon breath shoots out of its mouth in happiness.
I guess I got another new friend tonight.
This is really beautiful, Mako.
I really wasn't expecting this. I'm normally really terrified of dragons and drakes and all that, so this is news to me.
And when you say fear, the dragon just instantly is like, no fear.
I scratch his little chin. Okay, Bolin,
And
let's
with
keep
these,
going, I guess.
yeah, and with these warm exchanges, let's go ahead and real quick for this next part, go ahead and roll me initiative, and then that's just going to help determine what order of events we're going to move in.
13.
22.
5.
10.
Awesome. And so, Buttercup, you step out of the passage first, and your breath catches as you take in the sight of a colossal tree. And this tree's bark is adorned with glowing runes that shimmer in harmony with the natural world surrounding it. Except that that harmony is sort of discordant as you sort of notice that these dark wisps are starting in and out of sight as they munch on the leaves of this magnificent tree. And despite the immense branches and vibrant foliage that are creating a canopy, filtering the moonlight into a mosaic of emerald and white gold, the eyes that are munching on these leaves appear in the tree bark, resembling orbs of dancing sunlight. And as the rest of you step out, in particular Sophie, these eyes that appear in the tree lock onto you, and they seem to cry out for help as they lock onto you, Sophie. And what you realize just from talking about the lights and the darkness and what Elowin had said about some kind of ancient guardian, you realize that this could be that guardian, and whatever is attaching itself to it is probably what's been causing some of that strange energy that had been talked about before. And so in your initiative order, well, not an initiative, so before we go into that official initiative order, which we'll use just to decide who's doing what when, you each kind of come out and see the scene before you. You'll have a few minutes to kind of talk about what you want to do before there's a chance the creatures start to notice you.
I had a dream about this tree.
What's with all the dreams?
I don't know.
I didn't
In-
have a dream.
In my dream, there wasn't any wind at first. The leaves were calm and it just was like a beautiful tree, but the wind picked up and the animals fled, and the wind was so strong it almost pushed me over. And the music from the tree was beautiful in my dream. It sounds off now. We need to fix the music and bring it back.
Like a healing?
Maybe.
Are there any rocks around?
There are plenty of rocks in the ground, and you kind of see the carved stones that are peeling out before you, but these don't really look like the rocks that you just encountered in the last area of the forest.
Well, we have a little friend who made us some wind. Is that... Do you think that'll be part of bringing the music back? Or fixing it?
It must be. I think so.
Did you say that there's like one spot that looks like it's like not all right, or is it like, did you say throughout like the whole part of it there's like different spots everywhere?
Yeah, so in the slideshow we have on the side here, you're going to see these little black creatures, and those are kind of scattered throughout the tree in like individuals, but there are seemingly a few notable clusters where more of them seem to be coming out of.
I've seen these little wispy things before.
In real life or in a dream?
In real life, I've in talking with Kawato and like remembering things that Kawato has done, like I've seen them. I don't know what they do. but I know they exist. I don't know if that helps.
Are they hurting the tree? Kind of like spores?
They don't seem to be helping it.
Would I have ever seen these little guys in like my forest, my home forest that I'm from?
No, I don't think you would have ever seen anything like these before. In fact, all of you can't remember seeing or hearing anything like this before in the island of Obojima.
Kawato, I have a feeling that Kawato wants to communicate with me at some point. I look at them. I think Kawato is saying that yeah, they're not helping the tree. I probably want to get rid of them.
So do we use the wind and kind of blow them off the tree? See if that helps.
Give it a shot.
I'm gonna try to speak with one first and see if that works.
Yeah.
I have speak with small beasts. And so I want
Okay.
to see if I can call one down and talk to it.
Yeah, so in the vast canopy of branches above you, there is one branch that kind of scraggles down before it shoots up and back towards the sunlight. And from that branch, there's this another smaller branch where a few of these creatures are kind of munching on some leaves next to you. And you kind of single out one that's just,
Hello? Can you understand me?
munch,
Are you hungry?
a munch.
Is that all you could say?
Munch, munch, munch.
Are you from here?
A munch, munch, munch.
Do you miss your home?
Munch, munch, munch.
Can we help you get back home?
Munch, munch, munch.
I don't think we should hurt them. They just want to get back home.
Do you think Alien would be able to get them all the way there, wherever their home is?
Maybe. I don't know where their home is, and I think their ability to communicate is limited to the word munch and some tones.
I do still have plenty of berries in my backpack if we want to.
Maybe we can try to lure some of them down with some of your berries?
She just has. We don't. This is a flavor thing at first, but now if it's helpful, probably has just like a nice like handful, like double handful of berries. It's like, yeah, wherever we want to put them.
Do you like berries? And I'll like hold one out to it.
Munch,
No. Ugh.
munch.
Just
I'm
leaves. You just like leaves?
Munch, munch.
Is it the leaves of this specific tree or any leaves?
What kind of leaves do you like? Just this tree's leaves?
What you're gonna hear is munch, 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 but munch, 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 which you come to understand means that this isn't normal for them to go after this tree in particular, but something has kind of prompted that change in behavior.
Is this tree producing light or anything like that? Or is it just
Yes. So around the tree itself, you kind of see orbs of light similar to the light Aeolian was producing. But what you notice about this light is that whereas Aeolian's light was entirely warm and almost candle-like in the light it was emanating, this one is almost like a candle where some kind of, I'm not sure if it would be like an alcohol or something like that, but something was poured into that light and kind of poisoned it. So it's giving off more of this, like when a candle wick burns too hot and the smoke suddenly gets more black and flamey, these ones kind of are tinged with that light.
Can I just druid craft a leaf, like a random leaf, and give it to him and see what he does?
Yeah, so you make this other leaf and present it, and mensch, mensch, mensch. And that roughly translates to I'd love to, but I can't.
He's pretty polite, isn't he?
Mensch, 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 mensch. All right, so what you see before you is a tree covered in these parasites. There seems to be one or two kind of main pustules where they seem to be coming out of. It's told you that it doesn't really want to be here, but it's kind of having to do what it's doing. You've had a few creatures give you a few items since you've entered this forest. And you have the tools and skills you already came into the forest with, which includes the fun stuff Norog gave you. What would you all like to do?
Could I listen to this gemstone that I have?
Yeah, so you pull out that weird gemstone that Lysican, the fox, gave you, and when you hold it up, it just suddenly says, "Hey, listen!" And you're like, "Bah!" And this tiny little voice says, If you go for the little pustules, it should get those to go away." Before the gemstone kind of in a burst of light pops and disappears.
Okay. So they're coming from a growth on the tree. So we need to get rid of the growth, I guess. Without hurting the tree, I guess.
And when you say that, Sophie, the tree's eyes that you noticed before are still kind of locked onto you, and this sort of wordless communication passes to you that says, "I don't think you kids are strong enough to hurt me."
The tree seems to be pretty strong. I think we could do a lot before we did any damage. So I think it seems like the tree is telling me at least that we can do whatever we can.
Also, I mean, kind of thinking about what I can do if if we do damage to the tree afterwards, I can help its growth again, or maybe like while we're trying to get rid of them. I don't know if that would help before or after we try to get rid of the little guys.
Could I do a nature check to see if there's a way to like remove the pustule without hurting the trees or the little guys? If there's just a way to like cut it off, or if I should, I don't know, use fire to cauterize it or something, or seal up the pustule. I don't know.
Yep. So, what I would say is for you and anyone else that wants to make either a nature or an arcana check, you may go ahead and do so.
At 10.
21 Arcana.
21 arcana.
18 nature.
Okay. So, Inko and Mako, you're both a little too distracted by just like, this is a big tree, these parasites are like kind of weird. And you're too distracted by the weirdness of it all to make any keen observations. But let's start with you, Blair. Buttercup, as they examine the parasites, you notice that the wispiness about them is somewhat reminiscent of the form that Aeolian had before. And so you realize that, similar to Aeolian when you saw him kind of not be able to pick up the flower, they probably don't have a form similar to he does, but they seem to have an attribute similar to him where the wind and things like that seem to like kind of move through them and they feel those things. And so that's something you ponder as Deb, who's not looking at the parasites themselves, but more so looking at the pustules where the creatures themselves are coming from. You realize there's sort of this dark portal-y energy that seems to be anchoring them to that spot, and without those portals, there wouldn't be anything tethering them to this location. So they seem to be coming from somewhere else by someone's force.
I think if we can get rid of the pustules, then it solves the problem.
Okay. Well, if they're magical in nature, I might be able to dispel one or two of them. I don't know.
I mean, we won't hurt them, right? They're made of the same thing Aeolian was made out of. So if we just, I don't know.
Could we, like, wind blow them back into the portal?
Portals?
And then,
Close the portals.
yeah.
All right.
Cool. So now we're just going to jump into that initiative you rolled earlier to get ready for this plan that you all have made. So Buttercup, with your 22, how would you like to prepare to help with this task?
I am going to cast Pass Without a Trace on all of us so that it can just kind of help us all be a little sneaky as we get into position to not kind of like freak out the little guys or anything else that might be lurking. So I will cast that, and it lasts up to an hour. So you have plus 10 on dexterity checks.
Cool. Anything else you'd like to do?
I don't think so. Of course, I didn't take any of the wind any of the wind spells for druids. So sadly, I don't have any of those, but I'll stick with this for now.
Cool. That sounds good. Inko, what would you like to do?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to get. I want to get in position to do the dispel magic. My Kawato is gonna. I'm gonna try to get them to position on the other side so we can get maybe two sides of the tree. I have at least two castings of the dispel magic, hopefully, and yeah. If no one grabs the Aeolian's wind thing, I'll grab it. But
Cool. So let's say for now you're not quite grabbing that jar because you're busy preparing your spells. So in the meantime, we're going to move it over to Sophie. How do you prepare?
I'm gonna ask if I could have a little liberty with one of the new spells. I want to try to use Bubble Prison and encapsulate as many of them as I can, so that we can shepherd them through the portals and not have any of them like flying off the tree.
Yeah, awesome. So let's see. I'm just reading that spell. So for those of you watching, this is a Obojima specific spell. It is the Bubble Prison that allows Sophie here to choose medium creatures or smaller that they can see. If they fail a dexterity throw, they are trapped inside of a floating bubble prison, and the number of creatures that can be trapped depend they depend on what level spell slot you choose to use for that spell. So to kind of have fun with this experience, since we're seeing it for the first time, can you just go ahead and roll an Arcana check for me, and we'll see just how flashy or how many you might be able to capture with this spell?
17.
Ooh. All right, so there were about, let's see, we're gonna roll that one. All right, they rolled very poorly. They got a nat 1 on their dex save. So, with that so first of all, I will say that you capture half of the parasites on the tree with your spell. How does that look as you cast this spell?
Um, I think it's just sort of really light and effervescent, and there are a bunch of little bubbles that all like capture them individually and then merge into one big bubble where they're all sort of tumbling around inside.
And a few of them, as they get captured by your bubble, they manage to keep their leaves they were chewing in their mouth. And not sure if you still have that spell cast, but all you're hearing from the bubble is various versions of munch, 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 hey, munch. Awesome. I'm super excited we got to use that spell this session, so thank you. Moving on to Mako, how do you prepare?
Yeah. How did we say how we were going to close the portals, or what could close the portals?
I
Open
think,
the spell.
yep, so Inko readied the Dispel Magic action for the portals. So Deb worked on the parasites themselves. Blair is preparing to help out afterwards, depending on what happens to the tree.
Then I guess I'll grab the jar.
Cool. We're not going to make you make any rolls, I think, for this one. So can you just describe to me, like, in what manner does Mako set off Jiro's jar? And as a reminder, Aeolian just told you to kind of throw it on the ground and state what you were seeking, and the wind would kind of follow your prompt.
Yeah. Like I hold the jar in my hand, and I think about Aeolian and how fun that little dude was, and I guess I just smash it on the ground and kind of think or say out loud, like, please get these little dudes home.
And as you say that, the wind around you swirls, and very much in the way that Aeolian moved and sounded, it captures and plays with each of your clothing before it finally swirls its way around the trunk of this colossal tree. And then they playfully dance among the branches, and you see this sort of comical scene of, like, again, Aeolian movement inspired wind that's kind of juggling these little parasites that Deb can hear are still saying, munch, 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 before they kind of get tossed into this bubble that she's already created. And as they assemble together in the bubble, Inko, I assume, is ready to do some spelling.
Yes.
What does that look like?
I think myself and Kawato are, as I said, on opposite ends of the trees. We're both in a very ready stance, and I think honestly, as they all the little parasites flow back into the portals and stuff, she just starts slapping the tree, and as she slaps, she's casting the dispel magic on the portals, and yeah.
Cool. And then as the wind travels, you notice, Buttercup, that a few branches do snap and break as the wind travels through. It doesn't seem to be any of the major kind of essential branches of the tree, just some of the smaller ones that were still growing and forming. But is there anything you want to do for those as the wind travels through?
Yeah, I guess like as all this is happening, um I'll cast, where did it go? I'll cast plant growth. And so yeah, using an action in 100-foot radius, all the vegetation becomes thick and overgrown. So she's just kind of like pumping that energy like into the tree to kind of reinforce it. Um yeah, just kind of giving it an extra boost.
Awesome. So as you send this surge of energy through the tree itself kind of feels like it shakes off the weight of that negative energy and just almost stretches as if it hasn't moved the first time. And those eyes that before were really just focused on Sophie kind of focused on each one of you before, with a final sweep of its massive branches, the portals are shook away and disappear in a puff of black dust. And as soon as those portals puff out of sight, so too do the little parasites disappear with them, and the tree's eyes brighten as a gust of rejuvenating wind sweeps through the grove, and this expression of pure gratitude emanates from the tree, and in a deep, resounding tone and intones, "Well done, travelers. I thank you. In exchange for your kindness, you may have a leaf from my branch, which can be formed into a potent charm or potion, or I can tell you a secret of the grove, which will cause an attribute to raise by 1. What would you like?" And as each of you step forward to the tree, you kind of feel as if this is your final moment in this tale, as you're speaking with this massive and timeless, ageless entity. And let's go ahead and start with Sophie, whose eyes it noticed from the start.
Sophie is going to make a deep bow to the tree and tell it was an honor to help you. Thank you for your offer of gifts. I will take a leaf.
Choose your leaf, Sophie. And you're not quite sure how it knows your name.
I look around and I find a leaf that's smaller than some of the others and kind of tucked out of the way. And it reminds me of myself. And so I take it and I put it in my pouch. And I make another deep bow to the tree.
And in response, you get this feeling or impression as some of the branches in the front dive forward. And you, young orange friend. And you realize, Inko, she's talking about you.
Perfect. I can you give me a secret of the grove to help me protect my new friends? To give me the strength to protect them?
Hmm. Take one of my acorns and put it under your pillow tonight, and you will see what you need to know.
Thank you. Cryptic again. How old are you? Uh,
Older than anyone else you've probably asked that question to. And what of you, young Mako? You already have a gift, so maybe you need no others, but I am not one to go back on a word.
I mean, I think you're right. Um, but could I ask a favor instead? There's this sweet lady in the village that I think wants to talk to you. if you're willing. Would you mind having a chat with her at some point soon?
And the eyes kind of twinkle as you mention Elowen, and if your friend's map is good enough, she will find me when she can.
Awesome. I have full trust in.
Anxiety breath.
Thank you.
Thank you, young traveler. And for you, O spirited one.
Oh, well, I mean, uh, a leaf would actually be pretty cool. It'd be nice to. This is my first time going to a different forest, so to add you to my little crown here would be really pretty cool.
Oh. And that mention of being added to the crown, in one branch off to the side, one leaf that seemed like it was about to die trembles for a moment before this rush of energy causes it to rapid fire grow, and before your eyes the most beautiful and strange flower you have ever seen appears on it, and as you pluck it, you notice that a gentle shimmering quiver passes through it, and you just get this weird feeling it won't be going bad on you anytime soon.
Oh, thanks. That's even better than expected. And she'll kind of like fasten in like where to put it. Right, it's gonna be in the middle. But yeah, and kind of like sit up proudly with it.
And as the final echoes of your triumphant victory and these newfound gifts fade away, a hush settles over the sacred grove, and the Starlit Sanctuary, which was once shrouded in uncertainty, now basks in the gentle radiance of renewed harmony, and the air is infused with delicate scents of summer blossoms, and the leaves rustle with a newfound vigor. You see Aeolian flitting about, leaving trails of sparkling light as they dance in celebration, and their melodious laughter intermingles with the whispering breeze, creating a symphony that reverberates through the glen. The spirit creature hovers near you, its eyes bright with gratitude, a constant reminder of your agility, camaraderie, and the magic you brought to life. Meanwhile, Lysican, the fox, watches from the shadows, his eyes reflecting a mixture of melancholy and understanding. He nods his head ever so slightly, acknowledging your wisdom in unraveling his riddles and embracing the introspection he represents. The glen feels more mysterious, its secrets more inviting, though, thanks to the bond you formed with this moody guardian. And finally, the echoing sentinel, this mighty tree that stands tall and radiant at the heart of the grove, reveals itself to be Nylaria, a guardian of Obojima, and the vibrant runes on their bark glow with a renewed vitality, a testament to the balance and unity you've helped restore to the area. And the ancient guardian's eyes, now clear and serene, unclouded by darkness, meet yours with an expression of gratitude that words can never really convey. And its branches gently sway, creating a soothing melody that harmonizes with the surrounding symphony of nature. And the once threatened grove now thrives, its magic pulsing with life, as these spirits seem to intertwine, enveloping you in a profound sense of accomplishment. But amid the jubilant melodies and the vibrant renewal of the Starlit Sanctuary, a faint undercurrent of unease lingers, like a shadow cast by an unseen figure. As you bask in the aftermath of your successes, a chilling breeze whispers secrets that the grove itself dare not speak aloud. A lone raven, perched atop a nearby branch, watches you with beady, knowing eyes, its caw both a mournful lament and a foreboding omen. A dissonance lingers in the air, as if the harmony you've restored has not entirely dispelled the discord that threatens to seep through the cracks of the island. But whoa, think of that later, for these are happier times, and the world of Obojima remains as unpredictable as the shifting winds. The same forces that sought to corrupt this grove may be at play in distant lands, lurking in the darkness and gathering strength. The very magic that empowered our companions carries with it the potential for both creation and destruction. And as you leave the grove behind, a sense of purpose tugs at each of your heartstrings. The victories you've achieved are not merely isolated triumphs, but they are part of a larger unfolding saga. And the ominous raven's caw is a reminder that though the path ahead is uncertain, the forces that sought to exploit the grove's vulnerabilities still whisper their intentions on the wind as a reminder that your battle, though won for now, is far from over. And thank you all. That's where we're going to end this session. I'm sorry we went over on that. Again, it's my first time, and I knew time management would be my hardest thing. So thank you all for hanging out a little bit longer. And thank you to my amazing cast of characters. What an amazing job they did as individuals and as a group in these challenges they faced. So let's give them a quick round of applause. And then we're going to give them a chance to see to share what they're up to so that you can catch them in their other adventures. So Deb, who are you and what are you up to?
Yeah, I'm Deb. I was playing Sophie. She was a gnome sorcerer. This was so fun. Thanks, Annika, for running this for us. I have seen Obojima stuff popping up for a long time and was really excited to jump in on this. So thanks so much. I'm here at the Haven on Wednesdays. We will be back with Eastera on Wednesday, which I'm excited about. We had an unexpected 2-week hiatus, so I'm glad that we will be back with our arc of lost masks. And then Saturday, the charity stream, I'll be in the Magical Cats game with Kay, and that's going to be so fun. And Annika, that's going to be super, super fun. We've got some real shenanigans planned for that, so check it out. Donate for the kids, and yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deb. And moving over to Inko and Kay, what are you up to?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kay or Kid Cosmos. I played Inko today, a wallflower who's starting to grow into the space people have made for her. But what's coming up? I think the only thing I have coming up right now is the Library Cats game on Wanderer's Haven. Although I think I have an Eastera 2 shot at the end of the month. But that's all I've got planned for right now. You can find me at Caden Cosmos. Oh, I also do Fat Cat Trivia. I do free online trivia on Saturdays and Mondays bi-weekly now. You can find me on the Patreon. And yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we appreciate everything you do, not just here, but in your other things. And traveling over to Blair, what's up, beautiful lady?
Hello, hello. Oh, this has been so much fun. Hi, my name's Blair _Canadian Moose all over the place. I've been playing Buttercup, who finally got out of her woods to jump into another one. That's great. That was a good first adventure for her, which was fantastic. You can normally find me over on High Shelf Collective. That's kind of my home zone. But also, actually, I say that, except for next week, I'm going to be over on Lost Caravan, who just rated us. Thanks, you guys. Next week is a thing called Recall Week, which is super exciting. People in all these different games, all these different one-shots, they're bringing back characters from old one-shots and kind of mixing and matching them into other new games. So Monday, I'll be playing Paradox Perfect, and I'm bringing back my possum character Gutterball from Wander Home. So we shall see how that works. And then on the 8th, I'm playing Necronautilus, which I'm super excited about. Just learned about that game. And I will be playing my my Nova character, who is just this she's the mom friend, the mom of the group. But yeah, our whole everybody in that game has died, and we have to be little gaseous beings that help serve death. So that's going to be fun. And then the 17th on High Shelf, we have we're wrapping up our Mass Effect campaign that's been going on for like 2 years, I think. It's slowly coming to an end. We've had a lot of scheduling conflicts, just everybody knows, everybody in the TTRPG space knows scheduling, but it is coming to an end, and it'd be exciting to see. I think it's supposed to end in a wedding. We'll see if that if that's how that happens. But yeah, other than that, I definitely say go check out High Shelf, because December we'll have our big High Shelf charity. It's like a 2-week long thing that we play a bunch of games and raise money for a good cause. So come check it out. I don't know if we picked. I think it might be elevated access this year. But yeah, follow us on socials to know more about that. But I'm going to shut up now. Thank you so much. This has been amazing, and I'm super excited that I was able to play. Annika, you're amazing. Cast, you're amazing. I love you guys, and thank you so much, Wandering Haven.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Blair. It's always a pleasure to play with you, and thank you so much for sharing. You're always doing something cool, so it's always fun to hear what you're working on. Let's hang out with Andrew. Andrew, thank you so much. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm tired, but great. Thanks for having me. I'm not up to very much. I'm a human person, and I played a smaller human person, or human ranger in this game named Mako. You can find me on social media at Andrew Nean RPG, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Follow me for fun D&D memes. Other than that, yeah, I'm around the Haven when I can. That's it. Yeah.
Nice. Well, and actually, Andrew, I remembered you were part of the first session I ever played when I started live streaming. So it was fun to have you in my first session that I got to GM. So thank you. And thank all of you for joining me on this adventure. Again, the Obojima content was on Kickstarter recently. If that is something you were excited to see tonight and you want to learn more about the playtest content that's already out, or you want to sign up as a late pledge on BackerKit, I certainly invite you to do that. That's again 1985 games and Obojima Tales from the Tall Grass. Other things I would like to shout out to is Tabletop Audio for the sounds you were hearing this evening, Midjourney for the art you saw, and then appreciating enthusiastically and forever the wonderful Miko, also known as the okayest GM, who was our producer for tonight and answered so many of my questions. So thank you so much, Miko. Huge shout out to you. And I have been informed that we want to highlight some of the things coming up on Wanderer's Haven. So I know Ystera arc already came up. That was on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. They are also doing a fabulous fundraiser for Saturday the 4th. So this coming Saturday, that's going to be from 12 p.m. noon to 12 a.m. midnight. And that's going to be 3 different totally unique sessions led by 3 of our fabulous GMs. And it's going to be so much fun for Extra Life. So definitely check out that if you want to see some fun and silliness while advocating for a good cause. That's certainly something you should do. But in the meantime, I would like you all to have your evenings and however you choose to spend them. So we are going to go ahead and raid Darling Creepshow and see what they've got cooking over there, because it's always something fun. But again, thank you all for joining me this evening, and we hope you have a great night.